Dusser tight.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Easter Sunday, the 27th of March, 2016. I'm your host, Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
It's the Easter holiday that never is in the same place.
And Robert Kemp.
Oh my.
Well, I guess it's sometimes in the same place.
Well, it's not very often.
Some number of years, I guess.
It's on a weekend.
It's the exact same day as the clocks change as well.
Conveniently. Helps you remember.
Yeah, but it doesn't, because it isn't normally, so it doesn't help you remember.
Well, that's what I meant. This year, it helps you remember.
Oh, this year? For this one time you have to remember. Yeah, I guess.
I'm not sure I massively care. As long as I get my bank holidays, I'm fine.
And anyway, who has to remember to change their clocks nowadays?
Well,
the computer does it automatically,
I still have
and
some,
then that's the only time that you look at that, and then you remember by you seeing it.
Well, yeah.
You don't have to remember.
I suppose the clock on your bedside table is different, and then you look at your phone, because your phone's immediately there charging, and you go, these are different. Yeah. Oh, snap! I've lost an hour.
Yeah. Or you oversleep already, and then you realise you've really overslept.
Yeah, then you're 2 hours late.
Yeah. Oh well, never mind. Then you realise it's lunchtime. Well, you need to eat lunch, and it's nearly 3 o'clock. Oh dear.
Yeah. Suddenly, acceptably late is no longer a concept.
It's no longer. You were pushing the boundaries anyway, and then it's gone way over. Which is probably going to be the case for this podcast as well.
Yeah, way over the boundaries, pushing the boundaries. Yeah, we're edgy. We're the Channel 4 of podcasts.
If you guys want to get pizzed, it's going to be like past 10.
No, I've properly eaten already, so that's all right.
Yeah, all right, you're sorted.
I had a mid-afternoon KFC.
Cunning plan. So this is how you're going to smooth over the clock changing.
Just eat weirdly.
Eat weirdly, yeah. Have a large meal at like 4 o'clock.
I didn't have breakfast. Yeah, I didn't have breakfast till like 11.
Yeah,
and then had a second meal at 4.
Yeah,
and that's going to be it. That's me for the day. Like,
yeah,
just weird it out a bit.
Weird it out. That's how you do it with jet lag, isn't it? Just like just skip over one, skip a meal. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they say for jet lag, isn't it? They say eat breakfast at the right time. Starve until breakfast and then eat breakfast at the right time. And that should, in theory, get you kickstarted. But
what if you're crazy like me and you don't eat breakfast? Because I'm trying to make myself. I have to force myself to eat breakfast. I've got the most convenient thing possible, so that no effort is required in the making of the breakfast. Because putting milk in a bowl with cereal, that's too complicated. You have to, and milk goes off as well. That's no good. It's too inconvenient.
Not if you eat it every day.
That's true.
Get through 4 pints of milk in a week well easy.
Just get smaller cups.
You have to keep going and buying it all the time. If you get smaller cups.
Like the rest of your food.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
Have a cereal at breakfast and drink tea all day, and you'll get through milk no problem all the time.
That's true.
Constantly.
That's true.
We're always out of milk.
I don't have a car, so for shopping, so I carry my shopping home, and liquids
using Amazon Pantry.
Well, that's what I need. But the trouble is, the minimum spend on those delivery things is like 70 quid, which is fine if you're a family or you've got 2 people. Yeah, 60. I can't remember how much it is. It's quite a lot for Waitrose anyway. No, of course, they're posh, but even so, I need to look at what the minimum is, but they have a minimum spend, and then it's free delivery, which is great. And a lot of people's weekly shop is over 60, 70 quid, I would say, if you're a family. Yeah, but if you're just me, and buying crappy, I don't know, ready meals and stuff, I barely spend more than 20 quid when I go shopping for groceries, because otherwise, if I spent more, it would just go off. Yeah. So, and I don't like carrying I can carry that stuff home. That's fine. But if it's big bottles of liquid, they're always really heavy and stuff. Like a big bottle of Coke, I don't drink Coke. I have to drink orange squash, which is concentrated, and I can dilute it down. Whereas milk, can't do that. Anyway, so I've been getting these Belvita things, which are actually quite nice. The
little biscuit things. Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah, but they also do these ones that are soft bakes, which are
a bit like a Nutri-Grain.
Yeah, but they're quite nice and moist and crumbly, even if they've been in the packet for ages or whatever.
Moist.
They're nice. Like red berries or something. I don't know. So I've been getting those, and they're good. And I can just about make myself eat one of those in the morning. Otherwise, anything else, too much effort. Like the biscuits are nice, but they're too crumbly and they go everywhere. So you have to be organised and have like a plate that you then have to wash.
You just do what I do: have a plate that sits on your desk and just collects crumbs forever. never take it out.
The forever plate.
Yeah, and then once it becomes too full of crumbs, that's when you go and empty it.
But I don't want to.
I just realised this is quite a strong beer I'm drinking.
Oh, really?
7.2%.
Oh, is it a Belgian one or something?
No, it's an Ostel.
Mine one's 4.8.
It's an Ostel Big Job. It's described as a big job is a big beer. And then it's actually got like tasting information on the side. It's like presented a bit like a wine. It's got like a little breakdown of what it should be.
Are you supposed to?
Except like it looks good at first, and then you actually read it, and it's like color gold, aroma hops, taste warming.
I was going to say hops again.
Yeah.
Are you drinking it? Is it a room temperature beer or whatever, or a normal?
Well, it has just come out of a cupboard rather than a fridge.
Rather than a fridge, yeah.
Like most ales. Most ales are not sure.
Yeah,
it does say serve cool, actually, but I guess that's cool enough. It's not like it's summer.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be in a fridge.
Camera says this is real ale.
Really?
There's like a speech bubble on the bottle that says this is real ale.
What, coming out of camera?
Yeah, apparently.
This is real ale. Well, good. They are the campaign for real ale, so they ought to know, I suppose, what it is.
Woo!
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? If they were like, we want real ale, and they were like, what is it? I don't know.
We support Foster's. The realest of ales.
I don't think they'd foster that relationship, do you?
It's the realest.
Foster's is like not even like it's made in Birmingham or something, isn't it? Like so Australian. Wow.
Like Cameron's phone goes off, and it's like, hey, it's just me again. I'm just calling to say you don't pay us any attention. I couldn't think what else to do with carling.
What you should have done is fucking nothing.
It's been a good day for puns.
Has it? As evidenced by that.
For bad puns.
Absolutely.
That reminds me of something that I think I told Rob last week, which is just going directly into random, because I'm not like this hasn't just been a whole bunch of random so far.
Yeah. It's where I always am.
I was telling Rob last week, there was a bit of a post that came to our house about someone else's house, apparently. Like, it seems like they have to, there was like some government mandated thing where it's like, if you're upgrading your windows and doors, there has to be, you have to like register the work or whatever because of some,
These windows are legit. This glass is actually made of glass and not out of children's tears.
Yes, some bureaucratic something or other. But it was funny because the name of the agency or whatever was Fencer. And so it was FENSA, and the SA stands for self-assessment, which is like, yeah, and then the FEN stands for fenstration.
Shouldn't that be fenestration?
Or whatever, fenestration.
Yeah.
Fenestration.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great.
So apparently you can't, after we had this discussion years ago, right, about being defenestrated.
Defenestration.
So now you can definitely be fenestrated.
Yep. If you're putting windows in, you're fenestrating.
You're fenestrating, yeah. Okay. But that would imply that defenestration really means removing windows, not being thrown out of a window.
Absolutely, yeah.
Although, I mean, being thrown through a window, you are removing quite a lot of the window in the process. Yes, usually.
But it's the house that's the subject of that verb, isn't it? The house is defenestrated rather than the person flying through the window.
At least it should be. It's not like, I'm already quite absent of windows about myself. Unless you consider, I don't know,
your eyes are window
of my
into your
eyeball.
soul.
Yeah.
And your glasses.
Yeah, and yes, my glasses. I am actually fenestrated. My face is fenestrated right now.
You've got a Windows phone. You could be defenestrated that way.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yes, I've been fenestrated to level 10.
Indeed.
And then also in random, moving directly on from that,
We're done with that. Moving on.
We don't have to like call out random as a section that needs a start and like signposting like news. It's not. It just happens naturally.
Well, it did happen naturally. I'm just trying to move shit along because otherwise this podcast takes forever.
I mean, if the random section was going to have a jingle, what would it be? Like news, you can do like obviously newsy stuff like news.
We've already got our news jingle. That's the only section that has a jingle. Well, not jingle, but yeah, exactly. That's all it needs.
It's not time for news yet.
It is not time for news yet. So do your random jingle then.
Well, I don't have one. But there's...
Random?
No, please no.
There's a small amount.
What's that? Oh, that's... sorry, that's Home Improvement, isn't it?
Yes, it is. There's a small amount of kitchen bitching, only not really.
Oh no.
Kitchen bitching.
It's not really bitching so much as like weird things happening. Apparently we don't do that.
Sorry.
Apparently we're getting rid of our coal-fired Arga.
Really?
Even though that Arga was literally new, like, not very many years ago.
It's a key feature of that house as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what are you doing that? Apparently
to be replaced with what?
Well, we're getting a gas line installed, which is also doubly bad because we've literally just had the entire front part of our house repaved, which they're going to have to all dig up again.
Yeah,
it's like you really planned this out. So they're going to put in a gas line, and then maybe we'll get a gas Arga, so it'll be like the same apart from gas fired.
Right, I see. So it's not really. It looks like an Arga, but isn't really an Arga.
Yeah.
Well,
but still powers the house.
And still like heats the room and
it still
kind of stuff.
Is an Arga in that sense, right? And Arga is a company, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen like they make Argas with like touchscreens and shit, don't they?
Naturally.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Internet enabled Argas.
Yeah.
To make sure, does it pre-order the wood you need?
I don't know about that part. I think they are gas fired now, mostly.
Oh, boys, what's the point?
The thing about the Arga that we've had, since we replaced the old one with the new one, for some reason the new one really sucks. It's like it's impossible to get hot when you need it to be, and it doesn't heat up very quickly. So basically, for the last probably 2 years, virtually no cooking happens on the Arga. We just have an induction hob that we just put on the side and put a pan on it.
Okay.
It's like, that's dumb. So maybe getting rid of the coal-fired one will allow us to actually cook on it again.
Well, that makes sense. Sensible. If you put up with a non-work, why would you not just deal with that? Like this Arga doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this newer one is worse than the incredibly old one that we had to start with.
Yeah.
What parts was it completely replaced, or what? Is it like an upgrade or something?
It was a completely new one.
Right.
I don't know if it was necessarily an upgrade. There was a time when when it was considered that we might change over to wood-fired instead of coal-fired.
Mm.
But because wood burns so fast, it's much more effort to actually keep it going the whole day.
Yeah. And your little coal cupboard or whatever would have to be restocked way more frequently and be just full of wood and things.
Well, it's not like
but your dad does have that wood chipping thing, right?
Well, not any longer.
Oh, right.
That shut down after 1 year or whatever.
Okay.
They cleared out all the wood.
Oh, and then they were done.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What's the deal with your Arga anyway? How did you end up with an Arga in the first place? It's not like your house is super old, is it? Yeah, but I know, but does every house on your row terrace have Argas or not?
No,
I don't think so.
Well, they all have chimneys.
Yeah, but they're all built at the same time.
Well, yeah, exactly. So they probably all did have Argas.
But how old do you think they are?
I don't know. Do
you think they're 30s or something? The
whole row it's got to be about the 30s, I think.
I don't know. The Argas do provide that quaint cottage feel. Whoever were living there at the end thought, man, we need to quaint this up, man.
Quainted it up. That's what I'm wondering, is whether they tried to quaint it up or whether it was just a standard thing.
Quainted.
It already had wood floors and everything in the
yeah, but that's not that unusual.
But they were old ass wood floors even at the time. Yeah, it's the whole thing was just old.
What's ass wood look like?
Like butts.
But our house at the top of the thing and the house I'm in right now are Victorian and they don't have freaking Argas. It must have been a thing at some point.
It definitely must have been a thing. Must have been a fashionable statement.
But they don't like.
We're burning the land.
But they wouldn't have had. Well, your old house, Dan, had an exact space where an Arga would have been because that was just where your cooker was.
Yeah, potentially.
That could have just been a space for a cooker.
It was clearly designed for it was an Arga layout with where the chimney was behind it, and it was inset into the wall, and it had the raised tile bit underneath it.
Yeah,
that's basically the Arga shape.
There could have been one there for sure, I suppose.
It is true. Argas.
Yep. All that
Don't do it.
Apparently not.
Get a proper oven. Not a gas oven though. I don't like gas ovens. They just burn shit. We had one of those at uni, right? It was a full on. It didn't have an electric heater and electric heating fan element or whatever, but it just basically it would burn everything. It would bits of the oven would be super hot and bits of the oven would be super cold.
Well, you can get gas powered fan ovens, can't you, or whatever? I guess that's a combo thing, right? Can't you? Yeah, I mean,
I've never experienced a good one. They just burn shit.
You have to assume that this Arga design will work like a regular Arga. The gas fire bit will be in a separate compartment from the cooking section, and it will just heat the whole thing up.
Sure.
Presumably.
How does it regulate the heat, or do you have to do that? So if you want to cook something at a certain temperature, or do you just never bother with that in an Arga? It's just
Well, yeah, in a regular Arga, you just you can open and close the vents to control the airflow to make it heat up.
Okay.
Eventually, but it takes a lot of time usually. So you can't do it immediately. You have to plan ahead. And there's a switch on a toggle thing that diverts the heat more towards the heating or the cooking.
So if you wanted an emergency pizza, basically the microwave is your only option.
Well, yes, but who cooks pizza in an actual oven?
I do. If I get my Chicago town fix, it's I'll do it in the oven because it comes out slightly crispier.
Well, yeah, I do it in the combination oven. I don't do it in the oven.
Yeah. They've actually used one of those combination oven microwave jobs as the combo oven, or the convection oven, whatever they call it.
What does that actually do?
Does it use microwaves to heat something else that then makes it?
I'm not sure when they say combination, it actually does use the microwave at all.
Some of them have grill elements, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, this one that we have does have everything. It has a grill at the top and the microwave part, and just the convection heating thing, whatever that is.
I think mine has the grill, but we never use it because it smells funny.
But I mean, yeah, when you cook pizzas in there, well, for a start, it's clearly not microwaving it because you can put metal shit in there.
Right, yeah.
That's the easy way to tell. Although apparently there are that specific oven comes with certain grills that are microwave safe, and I was like, that doesn't sound right, but okay.
Well, in case you wanted to use the combo mode.
I guess.
I think our one has combo mode where you can turn the microwave and the grill on at the same time.
I mean, technically, it's the only reason that metal is unsafe in a microwave is because of sharp edges, right?
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Why microwaves screw with metal?
I think that's what it is. It's because the sharp edge can concentrates the flow of the energy and then it sparks off it.
Oh, right.
If you put basically a lightning rod in a microwave, that's what will fuck it up real bad, and that's why you can't put tinfoil in a microwave because all the tiny edges.
It's all sharp edge. So if you put just a ball of iron
of
in
metal,
you'd be fine.
Maybe. Who knows? Microwaves, how do they work?
Rob wants to microwave his giant steel balls.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My balls of steel.
Yep, balls of steel.
Hey guys, my car's gone nuts.
My car has mysteriously reset its clock again.
Wait, isn't it supposed to do that? The clock did go forward.
Yes, but not that way. Well, it's a thing that happened in the previous...
Back to 1955.
Yes, basically.
When Mr. Renault Clio...
It's the previous version of this same car I had did this as well, where it's just I think the electrics are just fucked again, where the battery doesn't correctly keep the clock running, and then occasionally it just loses the time.
Weird.
So
I've lost the time.
That may suck again if it turns out, because I think in the previous car that was a precursor to the alternator actually getting fucked.
Right.
So if that happens again, I'm going to be really annoyed.
Yeah, like in my case, like there is definitely something odd going on because the wipers have basically gained a mind of their own. It's like some days they'll work perfectly. The stalk will do what they're supposed to do. Sometimes it won't work at all. Other days, windscreen wipers will just go bonkers and just turn themselves on whenever they feel like it.
Well, and
I'll have no control at all.
You got some kind of crap in your windscreen wiper sensor, or whatever it is.
Yeah, but it shouldn't stop me from just turning them off. Like, there's a specific point on the stalk where it's like, oh yeah, it's on auto rain sensing mode. And it's like, but when it goes stupid, like nothing works. I can like slam it all over the place and it'll go, oh, I'm doing what I want. Can't boss me around. I'm the wiper gangster. And also, like when it does that, it turns off like the auto start stop thing as well, randomly.
Okay.
That's how you can tell something's wrong. The auto start stop will just go nope. So I have no idea what's going on, which means I'm probably going to have to get it checked out because wipers are important. When it's a rainy Easter weekend, like tomorrow will probably be.
Yep.
So yeah, that's probably an expensive fix. Boo. Boo. That's my car. My wiping bitching.
I was going to go with car complaining.
Car complaint. Yeah, that works a bit better. Car cussing.
Yeah. News.
Doesn't rhyme well enough though.
News.
News.
All right.
What's going on?
News it be.
I've got some news.
Have you?
Well,
go ahead,
sort of,
Zeg.
not really. It's also maybe a correction, except I don't remember what I said at the time. So there's maybe a correction of something I potentially said.
Okay.
I think maybe when I talked about it at the time, I suggested that the other one, Planet Coaster, was going to come out in March.
Oh yeah.
I think I might have said that, but I read the information wrong. It turns out the alpha comes out in March and has come out in March.
Okay.
So in my sort of news, I watched some videos of people playing that alpha to see what was going on, and I guess that game looks pretty good. It's actually a game.
Cool.
It exists.
Awesome.
But it seems to be basically exactly the same as Roller Coaster Tycoon World, except nicer looking, more or less.
Okay.
It's like it basically. I think we said it at the time. I didn't know whether Planet Coaster was going to have the same like spline roller coaster mechanism, and it totally does. So, like,
are these the same game, really?
Well, I mean, there's only so much differentiation you can do for a theme park simulator. You build rides, and then people come in and ride them. so basically,
Roller Coaster Tycoon World saw the Planet Coaster Alpha and were like, shit, this is way better. So they delayed it, switched to an early access model, and offered a bunch of refunds.
They'd already delayed it more than once, and they had their whole alpha that didn't happen or happened not long enough or whatever in December. Alpha. But yeah, so it seems like feature-wise they're almost identical, but Planet Coaster just looks nicer.
Okay.
And then
higher system spec, that's what you mean.
Well, potentially. It also depends on how much simulation they're doing, I guess. And so at this point, it's more or less just how much content is there going to be? That's the important thing.
Yeah. How varied is the actual game going to be? What's it going to do to keep you coming back?
Because it sounds like in both of these games, they made mention at some point or other about the potential for Steam Workshop or a similar type of thing.
Sure.
And it's that's fine, but please make content for your game as well.
Yeah.
don't just make a very basic selection of stuff and then be like, the community will make more things. It's fine.
So if it landed somewhere like City Skylines did, would that be good enough?
Yeah, probably. I mean, well, I don't know. The trouble with City Skylines is
if the mod support was good enough, I mean,
well, in City Skylines, the mods, I feel are actually, I guess it's the case for all of these kinds of mods. You have the easy mods that are just the aesthetic stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Which
they just added stuff.
Skins almost. Yeah. And so in City Skylines, you've just got buildings. And then you've got the hard mods, which are actually gameplay changing in some way or another.
Sure.
And then so for Roller Coaster Tycoon games of that style. You've got the easy mods, which are just like scenery, but that doesn't necessarily matter at all in the gameplay, depending on, as we said at the time, whether they do actually manage to make the programming for like people who actually react to scenery. And then you've got like the hard mods, but the hard mods seem like they're meant to be easy because it's like, oh, if you want to make a new roller coaster, theoretically, you only, because of the way they now have this whole spline roller coaster mechanism, theoretically, you really only have to model like one bit of track and then it extrapolates it, I guess, because that's just how it would do it. Cool. You're not modeling each individual loop or whatever, because it's just morphing the track into the shape.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that seems easier, but the trouble with that is it's also like, there's not much to that as a mod. It's like you make the like track shape, and maybe there's some amount of control of like the physics, like you could say what the resistance or something is, I guess. But you're not really building a whole thing. You're building a tiny tool that then other people use to build things. So then then you get the mods of like track layouts. And maybe like the individual rides, I guess, is the more major part, like individual standalone things.
I guess, yeah.
So it's like I don't feel like the Roller Coaster Tycoon model is inherently suited to people being enthusiastic about modding it.
Depends if they go down like I almost want to see the like Roller Coaster Tycoon do like the what management games of old kind of did, and like start in like the 50s or something, right? So you have to build like ye olde theme parks.
Well, I mean,
with like skank technology, and then technology gets better as you game or something.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that
and then you can do coasters and stuff,
and then you can do future rides.
Well, that's the thing you really hope for both of these games. Really, is that they don't just make a sandbox. It's like you need missions. You need goals. You need limits.
Roller Coaster Tycoon was good at that.
Yeah, it had a shit ton of missions. It had almost way too many missions. Although, please don't make us have missions where you have to sit there for the entire period of the mission to complete it.
There's a win condition, or at least make it so you can accelerate time significantly enough.
Yeah. So that's what... And also, like, it seems as though Planet Coaster may be too cheap. That's worrying me. It's like it has all these ridiculous options where you can buy it for like crazy amounts of money and get like your face in the game or whatever and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's almost like a Kickstarter except just on their website.
Okay.
But it's apparently just the base game is like 20 to 30 quid. And I'm like, that seems quite low.
That does. That reeks of they'll probably be playing some sort of DLC game, right?
Yeah, or just not very much content, and like hoping that the modding will help it out.
I'd just iterate on it like City Skylines did, to some extent. Like, like Cities or whatever. City Skylines was what, the third one or something, wasn't it? What was it? I don't know. There was Cities XL and
Cities in Motion, wasn't there? And then there was XL and maybe XXL.
You know, we already discussed this before. Those two things are completely separate.
Oh, that was the different ones, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Which is the one that is like City Skylines is not the first Sim City style game from those people, is it?
No, I mean they'd done one before.
Maybe.
But yeah, they were either because we got this wrong, I think, at one point. They were either the team behind Cities in Motion first, or they were the team behind Cities XXL.
I don't think it was XXL.
It was one of the two.
I think it was the other one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this does look good, this Planet Coaster, even if it is a bit bare bones. Hopefully I mean, they've got the core parts of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I read a really interesting long interview with Chris Sawyer on Eurogamer, and I still think it's ridiculous how he wrote all those games in like assembly language or something instead of in C.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's mental. But he's currently trying to port like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 to like iPad, etc., with the same guys that helped him do Transport Tycoon. So that's quite nice.
Nice.
Yeah. And
I wonder if it's the Open TTD guys.
I don't.
There's those Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 people as well.
That exists, does it?
Apparently.
That's awesome.
Just like Open Theme Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
But apparently
Did anyone play Big Pharma? Was that any good?
I thought about it, but I didn't.
The thing about Chris Sawyer was like,
to redo it, wasn't it? Or do that style of game again.
Well, like Theme Hospital.
Well, not really though, because it was more like a sort of Infinifactory type thing, belt management.
Oh, okay, nothing to do with it.
Wasn't
actually running a hospital. It was running like a manufacturing plant for pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Okay, that's no good.
So Chris Sawyer, because the game was virtually finished when he actually pitched it to publishers, the first game, Roller Coaster Tycoon. He retained the rights to the name and everything, and he's always had the rights to Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Right.
And so
Roller Toaster.
Roller Toaster.
So I think he made a reasonable amount of money out of that. He now leases the rights to Atari, to the name.
I see.
So
so he's probably doing pretty good.
Yeah, so he does fine. So he doesn't really have to work. So apparently he just like volunteers at his local school and like chills out and stuff.
And he probably doesn't mind if Atari makes a shit game, like it might be.
Because that's what they were asking him.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's up to them. He doesn't seem to mind that it's like, his franchise or whatever.
I suppose as long as it doesn't say Chris Sawyer's on it, it's like,
exactly.
Fine.
And he's saying that like his argument is like they don't want to screw it up because it's a lucrative. Turns out it's always been quite a lucrative franchise which totally surprised them when they first launched it. They didn't think it would be a big thing, and it was. So it's in their interest not to screw it up, but of course they will. I'm sure
they sort of already have.
They already have, that mobile game and stuff.
And free, really, was the start of the downfall.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. But hopefully, but I don't think, he's not
didn't Roller Coaster... Didn't Tycoon 3 and Theme Park World come out at roughly the same time as well?
Much. It was the thing. It was like, logically, that seemed like a perfectly good management game, but somehow just no one manages to do it. I mean, EA bollocks it all up when they were like, "Oh, Theme Park, yeah, we can bring that back." It's like, no, you can't.
Looking back, Theme Park was never really that great, right?
No. It was pretty good for the time.
I guess
it's ancient.
I guess it was innovative, but
there wasn't as much.
It never really functioned right, and like building the coasters seemed real awkward.
Well, of course it was. It was this weird, like all the 45-degree angles and right-angled corners.
Yeah.
It wasn't very advanced, but it was pretty advanced for the time.
Tycoon got it right. Sure. Like, they sort of nailed the formula at that point.
That's true.
So, do you reckon, is it a bad omen that it's called Roller Toaster? I nearly did it there. Roller Coaster Tycoon World.
I'm thinking about breakfast.
After Theme Park World.
It's not a brand crossover. They're not like working with EA.
No, but I mean, like, is World like a bad omen? Like, you can't just put World.
Well, World is
apparently
omen,
Jurassic Park World was alright, wasn't it? Didn't you see that?
Yes,
that was okay, wasn't it?
Then again, they were talking about Border Worlds at one point as well.
Yes, they were. That's true.
Yeah.
No, I think if Worlds is a bad omen, it's a bad omen because it suggests that they want to do something multiplayer. And that's probably never going to work.
That's true. Yeah, what if it's like the SimCity model where you're in a region and everyone has to build cities and work together to build like some massive arcology coaster?
Or it will just be some bullshit like overarching layer where it'll be like their workshop thing will be part of the world. Where it's like all these people around the world are making content to put in your theme park.
Oh, yeah, well, the world would be their network or something. It's like, welcome to Roller Coaster World, the connected place for theme park design enthusiasts.
Yeah, exactly.
And it had DJ Atomica on it, and then, like...
It's not an EA crossover!
You're listening to Crash FM. I don't know why that came into my head.
No, I don't know why either.
No.
Guess what I've been playing this week? Burnout Paradise. Anyway.
Oh, really? Oh, boy. Okay. I mean, that'll be real interesting. Okay.
No, not very much of it, but anyway, carry on.
Is that all your news?
Yeah, that was
just roller coaster news. Coaster news. All right. I'm going to go through this in roughly chronological order of what happened over the last 2 weeks. Something that's been on my radar since EGX last year. You may remember I talked about a sort of self-described rhythm violence game called Thumper, which I'm really looking forward to. This game looks awesome. It is ultra intense, having played through all of the demo at EGX, which took friggin' ages actually to get right, because it's hard. It's getting a PS4 version, as well as a PC release now, and it's also coming to PlayStation VR, which I imagine is fucking terrifying. Because because that game is already quite an overload.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to that game. It looks real good.
But not on PlayStation 4 or VR.
No, I'll get a PC version, obviously. But yeah. Also, next bit of news: Dead Island 2 apparently isn't dead. Like there were rumors flying around that that had actually been canned ages ago.
Well, because they showed that one trailer and it seemed to happen.
It sort of disappeared, yeah, and so everyone thought that it had been cancelled. No, apparently it hasn't been cancelled, and Sumo Digital have taken over the development of it. Now, I like Sumo Digital. I do not like Dead Island. This is not a...
when they...
I'd rather them not waste their time on it.
When they have a developer take over development of a thing, that's normally not a good sign, usually.
Generally not, no. But the project
that's what happened with Roller Coaster Tycoon World.
Yeah.
They changed developer.
I forget, who's the publisher of Dead Island? Techland with the dev, and then they now got Dying Light.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know who the publisher of Dead Island is. It's a weird one, isn't it? It's not one of the main players. It's like a little... Is it Deep Silver or something like that?
Yeah, it might be Deep Silver. That sounds about right.
Yeah, so from my perspective, that's a shame. I'd rather Sumo Digital did another Sega and Sonic Racing Transform game.
Right,
because
that's important.
That was awesome. Sumo tends not to make bad things, though, so let's hope. And then the first bit of what you could consider sort of like headline news happened.
Yeah.
In that Microsoft have announced that Xbox Live is going to not be quite such a closed platform. Such a closed platform. They're going to open it up to allow cross-platform multiplayer. So players on Xbox Live can now finally start interacting with PC games and potentially PlayStation games.
Cool.
The Rocket League guys immediately piped up and said, "We've got this, guys."
Well, it seemed like they'd been doing it before this announcement, so it seems like they already knew.
Yeah, it seems like the Rocket League devs have been working on this, presumably before they released the Xbox.
Well, yeah, because they launched that when they launched the tease of the Xbox version, it's like, the Warthog and the thing from Gears of War, Armadillo, whatever the fuck that thing's called.
Yeah, the Armadillo, that is that.
And then it's like, well, okay, it's coming to Xbox, but then what? What about the crossplay? And
also,
everyone's like, well, it's not going to happen, is it?
Also, what does that mean? Like, if the Xbox is the first one to get specific cars, does that mean those cars need to be at least downloaded
they have
the PlayStation version?
They have to exist in the game.
Yeah. So yeah, they are apparently going to do Xbox to PS4 crossplay in Rocket League, and it'll be the first time that's ever happened. And Sony couldn't give a monkeys, basically, because they were like, well, our platform's always supported it.
Yep. My question is, in Rocket League, will you be able to differentiate the PlayStation and the Xbox ones, or will they all appear as Cynet?
Cynet. It would probably come up as Cynet, right?
That's disappointing. I want to know.
Cy-Xnet.
I mean, I guess if you see anyone driving Warthog or an Armadillo, then you'll know.
You probably know, yeah. I bet they won't get the licensing. They'll have to put a placeholder car in or something.
You can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That is the Warthog on a Sony platform. That is not going to happen. Yeah, that's cool, right? I don't know what doors it really opens up, but it means the Call of Duty divide isn't a thing. For instance,
the doors it opens up for us will be more people play Rocket League.
Well, yeah, that too.
Make it even easier.
Well, yeah, it might open the floodgates to some new, easier players.
Well, except not because of matchmaking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
New Harvest, is that what you're looking forward to?
A little bit. So CryEngine announced that, I suppose in the wake of, was it the Amazon, what do you call it thing? What is their platform called?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Is it Lumberyard?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, it doesn't sound right. I think Lumberyard is still a stupid name. But, yeah, so as a result of that thing, I suppose, being somewhat free on which to develop games and it being powered by CryEngine itself has now turned around and gone, yeah, you know what, our licensing model is pay whatever the hell you want. So basically free. They basically say, if you do well, you can pay us some money if you want. We don't care. So CryEngine is free. Go nuts, people. PlayStation VR has an official launch date and price to continue the VR wars of 2016.
And now we have a decent price.
£349 for the headset and its breakout box.
Pretty good.
But, yes.
The big but is, that doesn't include any of the Move controller stuff, which you'll need for some stuff, obviously. And it doesn't include the PlayStation camera, which the thing requires to run.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation camera is like 40 quid. But I think a lot of the PS4 bundles tend to just have one. So chances are you probably have one. But that's a pretty good price, right? That is the price everyone thought VR was going to be when VR was sort of...
I mean, it had to be that for PlayStation, I think. Like, the other ones are like for insane PC people still. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, Oculus have their kind of weird Samsung offering where you like attach your phablet to your face, but it's not really the same thing, is it?
No. Yeah, the Gear VR. But yeah, it's still... If VR is going to take off, then this is the one to watch, right? This is like the others may be technically better and will probably last a lot longer than PlayStation VR, right? In theory, as in they probably don't have to revise Oculus or Vive for quite some time. They just have to figure out how to make them cheap. The PlayStation VR is the one that's probably going to drive this initial uptake. And Sony, weirdly, seem to be the one with the most developer support, right? Like, they're claiming they've got hundreds of teams working on VR games. Or at least games with some level of VR support.
Like Tekken.
Like Tekken, yeah.
Entirely appropriate.
Also, Sony, I'm going to skip ahead here because this is somewhat relevant. Sony, off the heels of what we talked about last time, like with Microsoft potentially introducing a upgradable Xbox cycle and backwards compatibility and all that stuff, like quicker console cycles.
Yeah.
Sony, it's been leaked that they are doing a PlayStation 4.5 revision that isn't just a slim version of the PS4. It's going to be more powerful and support 4K. And I can't help but think that must be something to do with VR, right? That they are in that position because they want VR to have enough juice to function a bit better.
Well, that's why it has the breakout box, though, surely.
Yeah, I don't know. But I still don't think that thing might not be powerful enough to run it. Like, at least with the graphics fidelity they're probably after. If they want to put it... I mean, they can't put it side by side with the Rift and the Vive, even after they get more juice in the PS4, but still... I can't help but think that's why they're thinking about it. Also, I guess Sony want to push 4K Blu-ray.
Is that a thing? How does that work? Do they have enough?
I don't think Sony has to push 4K Blu-ray because this time there's no competition. It's not like the HD DVD versus Blu-ray thing last time.
No,
this time they've just got the complete monopoly and they can do whatever the fuck they want.
I guess not. I guess it will be there in time regardless.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just trying to say, maybe they want to push it in a way to stop people from streaming. Like, to people like, look, seriously, Blu-ray's still a thing. Blu-ray's still better than streaming. Hey, guys.
It's
I
a
guess.
4K
So, we can make
Blu-ray.
more money from selling physical discs.
Yeah, I
Is
guess.
that a different format from Blu-ray? Like a 4K Blu-ray? Does it have more space?
I don't, I've got no idea. I really don't. I mean, unless it's just a better compression codec or whatever. Like
maybe
they've come up with MP5 or who knows. But because I actually have no idea. But yeah, obviously your device needs to be able to support it, whatever it is.
It's pretty hard to stream 4K. I guess you can on Netflix, can't you? But I don't know if there must be.
It's like 4 times the data rate, isn't it? At least.
Yeah.
But yes, I think some streaming services will now support 4K 60, which is mental.
Yeah, it's mental. Yeah. And you can buy 4K TVs now, like.
Oh yeah, 4K TVs are quite common. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no one's got any 4K content apart from Netflix. I don't know. Seems crazy.
Well, 4K Blu-ray seems like the entry point, right? Because it's the most doable solution until the internet sorts itself out for the next wave.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Fiber 2, whatever. There was some talk about, actually, like over the last couple of weeks, about a new technology that's, well, I say over the last couple of weeks, apparently it's been standardized for years, but it's like really tricky to actually, no one's actually proven it, I suppose. Like there's some new broadband technology that can offer up to gigabit pipes and things like that. And so it's that's being trialed, I think, in bits of Japan and maybe China at the moment.
Oh, cool.
So maybe once that lands, we'll be sorted for 4K video. I don't know all about it. How do you feel about like the PlayStation 4.5? How would you feel about like this weird, like saying they wanted you to upgrade your console like every 2 years, like a phone or something, in order to keep up with the latest hardware specs? It's like, are there going to be games developed that require the latest build of the console, or are they going to have to start building games a bit like PC games where they auto scale back so they know what version of the console they're running on, and just turn off some settings, or say, oh no, don't run this at 4K, run this at like 720 or
I guess that's what you have to do with phones, right? If you're making a game for a phone, you have to support
to an extent, I guess,
a few generations of iOS devices or whatever.
To be fair, most of them just chug.
Yeah,
like if you're running a game on hardware on an old version of an Apple device, they don't scale anything back. It just runs badly.
They don't stop you from buying it.
No, well, of course they don't.
Like shit. Yeah. That would not be. Like, I don't know. I think. I don't know. Sure is the answer.
Yeah, because like my opinion is like I think it's interesting and exciting, but at the same time, I think it's a bad idea because the popularity of consoles is because of their somewhat inherent simplicity. Yes, that's somewhat changing, I suppose. The more and more complicated these things get, and the more and more capabilities they have. But at the same time, there's a nice selling point to be able to say, I'm buying this, it's going to be good for 5 years, or however long the console cycle is. That feels like a worthy investment. If that's going to drop to like 2, and it'll be like, well, it's going to be a better one in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it seems a bit odd that it's Sony doing this. You know, you'd think like because they're on top, arguably. Well, I think they are in terms of sales. You'd think it would be the sort of thing that Microsoft would try and do to try and like, you know, revitalize their.
So they are, yeah.
Right.
They've said they are. So they were more transparent that that's probably what they're going to do. This is a leak.
This is more like a rumor.
Yeah.
For the PlayStation one.
Okay. I don't know. Is the VR and the 4.5 thing completely separate, do you think? Or do you think the 4.5 won't require the breakout box for the VR or something?
No, maybe. That might be possible. I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, I gather that the breakout box is mostly to do with like displaying...
motion tracking, I bet.
Yeah, and also like displaying the same thing on the TV that you're seeing or whatever, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, maybe the box actually contains like the display logic for the device, so they don't have to try and build the whole thing into the headset. I guess maybe it makes the headset lighter. Yeah, which is cool because it's quite a nice looking headset compared to the. It is quite a nice looking headset. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw some footage of. It doesn't look very deep, or like it has much depth, but I saw some footage of Battlezone. And make a Battlezone game for PlayStation VR. And of course, I still think that the best chance at the moment for VR games that you actually want to spend any amount of time actually...
Oh, we've lost you, Deb. Something went fut.
Apparently the best chance for PlayStation VR is to explode.
It looks like Sony's NDA just landed.
Yeah, we've been censored.
I think you still hear us, Dan, but we'll never get to hear your insightful commentary.
You can't hear me at all.
You're back.
Hey, what happened?
It literally made a sort of fut noise. It sort of went... Oh, he might have gone again. Great.
This is very helpful. Well, what else news have you got, I guess?
There's meant to be more. PlayStation VR. It will happen this year. Oh, and it's a good thing that I didn't buy my... now I'm feeling like, it's alright to wait for PS4 now. Maybe I'll wait till the 4.5.
Dr. Nick, in your channel default channel timed out from the server. Dr. Nick entered your channel default channel on the server.
Hello. Yes.
I wonder if any of that comes out on the recording.
Judging by the waveform, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, lots of TeamSpeak related shouting.
Don't we have that kind of stuff turned off on the recording channel?
Apparently not.
Great. Oh, that's going to be brilliant. Okay. No editing. Anyway.
I'm not quite sure how that... I'm not quite sure why. That should get piped... That shouldn't get piped into the line on which I'm recording off, but never mind.
Never mind. Sorry, listeners, for that. I have returned. And I was just saying...
yeah, of course it would, because it just get piped into the main out... Yeah, sorry. I'm figuring out. Because it gets piped.
That for an actual video game, that you actually want to sit and play for hours. Like, I think the best chance right now for VR is a game where you're in a cockpit, and I think Battlezone sounds like a cool one because you can do kind of retro. You can play off VR being a weird thing in the late 80s and do kind of, vector graphics, crazy worlds like that, and that works quite nicely with VR, I think. And also because, easier to render, so you can make it run at 60 or however high you need it. I don't know what is the refresh rate of the screens, and are they like 60
apparently
or
120? Apparently they're up to 120 hertz on all of them.
So if you could make your game run at 120 or whatever, off a PlayStation 4, it might not look super great, but if you do go for a stylized look, you might have more chance. I think something like Battlezone. And then you could this game doesn't look that like this. It looks fairly simple but cool. But you could make a full-on strategy game like those old Battlezone games, remember Battlezone 2? And
Yeah, of course I do. The PC ones. They're pretty cool.
Where you
they were rock solid hard, but they were pretty cool.
But they were like RTS games that you controlled from first person, weren't they? They were mental.
Pretty much.
I mean, that would be awesome in VR.
Yeah, anyway. I didn't actually play much Battlezone 2, but like the bit I did play was a bit more mission-y.
And I liked the whole Soviet Russia versus
on the moon.
On the moon, yeah, that was awesome. Clearly, that's cool.
It was a cool direction to take that game. It should probably come back, I think. I mean, the weird thing about the Battlezone games is there wasn't like an on-foot mechanic, and I'm not sure anyone's figured out how to properly do that in VR. Like, how is that gonna be? How are you going to do a shooter in VR?
I don't think you need that. Just sit in the tank the whole time, I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
I reckon No Man's Sky will get a VR mode at some point. Like, not at launch, but like a little way after. Any hype for No Man's Sky in the room?
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. Not in VR, but I think it'll be cool.
I gotta be honest, I'm not sure about it. I just don't know I guess no one still knows really enough about it. I don't know if the loop is going to be all that appealing. I don't know.
I don't think that matters though. I think it's just like that when you want to see it is what's becoming more important now, really.
Yeah.
And after it came, it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive.
It's a full price game.
Regular.
Yeah.
I've been resisting the temptation to pre-order it because their pre-order is dumb. It's like that's literally the reason that I would have already pre-ordered it on Steam because it's not a pre-order discount or anything, but the pre-order is just like you get a different ship at the start, and I'm like, fuck you! I don't want to be given an easy start. Just because I pre-ordered, so I'm not going to pre-order.
Does it specifically say it's an easier start?
Well, it suggests that it's an improved starter ship.
Oh, weird. Yeah, that's not what you want.
I'm just like, well, fuck that then.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what you want in that kind of game as a pre-order bonus. In fact, almost you want the opposite. You want it to be hard mode start.
Yeah.
If you're that enthusiastic about the game, you're going to pre-order it.
Unlock hard mode from the beginning. And a shitty shit. It's made of plastic.
But yeah.
Space plastic.
So it's just it's not a good enough pre-order to make me want to pre-order it. So it's going to, surely that would just fuck up their numbers.
Yes.
Their pre-order numbers.
God. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-order numbers. So silly. News of the legal variety.
Okay.
So, it's been doing the rounds a little bit over the past week, but if anyone follows Jim Sterling and the Jimquisition and his basic crusade against terrible, terrible games flooding Steam, there is one developer in particular that he has a particular ire with. What ire for? Is it ire with or ire for?
Both,
ire.
I guess.
He has ire. Distaste is a pair of brothers forming Digital Homicide, which have basically just done what he describes as asset flips, which are you take Unity, you buy a lot of stuff off the store, you cobble together a just about working game, and you sell it without actually really doing any creative input yourself. And these guys have churned out a lot of games, and they're all terrible, and have had very shady other companies potentially attached to their name and stuff like that. And their fight has been going on very publicly for a long time, They are now trying to sue Jim Sterling for a colossal $10 million, claiming libel and slander against their names, which is slightly crazy. Jim has been staying wisely pretty quiet about it. He's not allowed to talk about it. He shouldn't talk about it ahead of the actual case and stuff like that. Apart from whenever it comes up, he basically says, yeah, there's no problem. I'm pretty confident. There's no problem. I just find that incredibly weird.
It's not that weird.
It is a little bit. Like, they should... If this doesn't get thrown out immediately...
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's not weird, because it's a dumb law case that's immediately going to get thrown out, just like all the other ones that have happened over the years.
Yeah. It is baffling that people that stupid exist. is the way I see this, actually.
Well, it's more like there's... It's not baffling that people that stupid exist. It's baffling that they can find a lawyer that's stupid enough to think that they can win.
I don't think they have a lawyer.
Well, exactly.
I think they're representing themselves.
That may be the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I said with what was I talking about before? I don't remember. It's like I said about that other thing where it's just like, I was talking about the adverts on YouTube, where it's just like, how can you get to the point that you can put an advert on YouTube and it's still this bad? It's basically that same thing. It's like, how can you get to the point of making a legal case and it's this terrible? It's like you've gone through this whole thing. You've been in this feud for like years.
It can't be cheap, right, to file that case?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wouldn't it have been better for Homicide just to sort of lay low and just keep making... Well, I say lay low, but just keep making games, right, and hope they still sucker people into making... Because Steam obviously don't care, right? They haven't blacklisted them at all. Like, Steam have got... And they just haven't got involved at all, right? Because Steam just don't care about the quality of the games that hit their store, it seems.
Not through those channels, anyway.
No. In somewhat parallel news, apparently the Lindsay Lohan case against Rockstar... has made it through the first phase and will actually go to court.
Except it won't, because then someone will pay someone and then it'll be done. Inevitably.
It's almost certain that Rockstar will settle, but because, they made them money. But still, like, how did that get through the first phase? Like,
well, because it's a fairly obvious one.
Is it? Like, I haven't played GTA 5, but from what I've seen, I guess I don't know enough about the personal life of Lindsay Lohan, but I'm looking at that going, I don't see it. What? I don't get it.
It's just the girl in the bikini, right, from the cover.
Yeah, the one that's in the promotional material, like the cartoon of it. Yeah.
And they're saying
holding up the what is it? The berry? What's the name of the fake phones in GTA?
Yeah. Oh, iFruit,
not Apple. Yeah. iFruit. Yeah, holding up an iFruit selfie.
I mean,
it's not her likeness at all.
No, it's not. It's definitely not her likeness.
So what's the case?
It's
like supposedly it is like the character is too much like her. Like,
but that character isn't really in the game, is she? I don't think. I played through it, and I don't think there's a prominent she's not a character. I don't think.
But I thought that was the deal. I thought, like, again, I haven't played GTA 5, so I don't know. But yeah,
I don't remember that.
That they think that the character is the Lohan estate feels that that's representing her, and that it's portraying her in a sort of libelous and slanderous way. And it's like, can't you just... Don't South Park get sued all the time for actually just saying this is Lindsay Lohan? Or what, like... Or whoever it is they're talking about all the time. Why is this a problem? Like, I don't think it even looks like her, or is her. Does anyone know enough about Lindsay Lohan to make that connection, other than Lindsay Lohan?
Well, maybe that's the secret. Maybe they've actually represented something she did in real life in the game, but no one knows it because it was a secret. And she's like, oh shit.
It won't be a secret for long if she's like then filing a lawsuit, will it? It's like,
well, but then she could like have a closed case or whatever and be like, you can't release this information. It's part of the law.
Like it's an injunction case or something. I think that's really weird.
That's really weird.
It's just a case of like, you know, the whole problem of satire and stuff. Where it's just like, you can take the piss out of the president of the United States if you want, up to a point.
Yeah, I guess.
But where is that point?
I mean, weirdly, there hasn't been a lot of it, I don't think, in terms of Barack Obama.
I think
apart from thanks Obama.
Like, I think there has been.
Well, if you compare it to Bush...
Well, no. I mean, it's like when it's a worse president, I guess.
A Republican, you mean?
Talking about some kind of political bullshit. But, you know, there's always someone going to be satirizing anyone important.
All right, like, real talk for a second.
Oh, God damn it.
What's your, like... Is Trump going to become a Republican candidate? Do you think that's going to happen? I'm beginning to worry.
Well, I think you should be
worried.
You're
a bit slow in that. You're a bit slow in that.
Yeah,
I know,
everyone
but I
is
thought,
worried.
I know, but I thought for ages that it's just like, this can't happen, right? It just can't happen. Well, but I've reached the point where it's just like, no one knows what the other candidate is, or any of the other...
It's the Republicans Party's own fault for, like, dividing themselves and the country.
They didn't unify against Trump. They still tried to continue with their own campaigns.
They tried, but it was too late.
Candidates.
Yeah, because they've got everyone for years. Like, they've managed to make everyone really angry, and they were trying to direct that anger towards the the Democrats who have been in power, right? But instead, they've just made them people angry towards the establishment in general, which includes them. So then someone hijacked their party, basically.
It's crazy. I'm depressed that someone like Trump can... Trump's a millionaire.
Because the Republicans are in trouble with winning. Even if they had a sensible candidate, they're in trouble with winning because their demographics are changing. So, there's more minorities, so we're more likely to vote Democrat as the years go by. And there are more immigrants, and immigrants aren't going to vote for Republicans because they're trying to do everything they can to get rid of them.
Sure. No, I don't think there's any chance in hell that Trump will become president of the United States, right? That just can't happen. But in the same breath, it is so depressing to see how far he's got.
It's very depressing.
Oh my God.
Yep.
At least get a stylist or something. Sort your hair out, mate.
Yeah. I think he thinks that's part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Once you've committed to whatever you had at the start, you can't change it. Yeah. Then people know.
You can't be seen as being fallible.
I really like the tiny hands thing, though. That's funny. Have you heard about that?
No.
Where for some reason Donald Trump is super sensitive about the size of his hands, and as far as I can tell, his hands are not like any smaller than normal, or they're not big, but they're just normal. You wouldn't notice. But someone once said years ago, literally like 20 years ago, somebody said he had small hands, and ever since then he's been trying to point out how big his hands are. And he literally saying it at on giant stages in rallies and stuff. Look, I've got big manly hands and shit like that. So it's pretty easy.
I do envision him he's always splaying his hands, isn't he? When he's gesturing, he opens his palm real wide.
Yeah, because he's obsessed with how small his hands are, even though they're not that small. So all you have to do is just call him tiny hands, and he'll get really annoyed.
Is it a penis thing?
Well, he's also talked about that in a presidential debate.
Yeah.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not the place. I'm just saying, that is not the place.
He said, someone implied that, you know what it means when someone has whatever, big car or whatever. Well, let me assure you, there's no problem. That's what he said in a presidential debate.
The film Idiocracy is sounding more and more like it might happen.
It's fully Idiocracy. This is what's happening.
Have you ever seen that film?
I have seen it, yeah.
It's pretty good.
A long time ago.
It's pretty good.
That's Mike Judge, isn't it? I need to watch it again.
It's real dumb, but it's pretty good. I just like how everyone drinks, there's no such thing as water anymore. Everyone drinks Rondo and a Red Bull style energy drink.
Yeah, this is the future, man. Oh.
And no one watches TV because it's just they have a video wall filled with brightly coloured adverts saying drink Rondo. And they're running out of food because they don't know what water is, and they try and like spray the crops with Brawndo. It's so dumb. I love that film. It's real stupid. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on from that shit.
GDC happened.
Yep.
I don't think a lot came out of GDC this year. Like,
what annoyed me was a lot of people went to it, apparently. A lot of people iPad it. It's like basically updates stopped on Dwarf Fortress and Starbound web pages because they were at GDC. But the thing about Starbound was they've been trying to keep up with their weekly updates or whatever. And they've already been barely doing it, as has been always the case with Starbound.
Yep.
And then we're going to GDC, so updates might be kind of light. And then it's been a very long time. It's just GDC isn't. It's like one weekend, right? Get that done and then come back and start posting again. Don't take a holiday as well.
Everyone needs a holiday.
God damn it. Hurry up and get finished, Starbound.
If Zach was president, no one would get holidays.
You can have a holiday, just have a reasonable amount of time. Even if it's just a shitpost where you're like, we're done with GDC and now we're coming back to the office or something.
I'll still just post.
Yeah, just have a post.
Alright, yeah.
Especially if you're already failing and you're barely keeping up with a weekly schedule type
just
thing.
Get an auto post to publish that or something.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, an auto post, that'd be even better. Make 2 posts, have one in advance, and just have it post while you're not there.
Hey, we're going to GDC, don't expect anything. Hey, we're back from GDC, begin to expect. So the one thing that I've noted of interest that came from GDC is that Valve are making a game.
Okay.
Right.
But it's going to be a mini-game collection for Steam VR.
Well, that's not really a game.
Yeah.
It's a necessary thing that they
it'll be a release
on the Steam VR platform.
Yeah, it'll be a release under Valve's name, I guess, which hasn't happened since Portal 2,
I guess.
And this
or
is
did
built
CSGO
on
come out afterwards? I don't know.
On Source Engine
CSGO
2,
probably came out
whatever.
afterwards.
Right.
Yep, it's a brand new Source Engine, all that stuff. And it's called The Lab. And had what looked like Portal-esque imagery to it.
Right.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't.
They really shouldn't.
They shouldn't waste the Portal universe on a dumb minigame pack. They already did their dumb VR demo in the Portal thing, and it was just that's pushing it.
Are they pulling at your tether a little bit? You're just like don't fuck with Portal, man.
But it'd be like making a Half-Life minigame pack.
Yeah, now that would be dumb.
Just like you're
Portal's
running out of
better
lemons.
suited. You got to admit that.
Yeah, it's better suited, but it's just you can't. The whole point of Portal, the universe of Portal that they made, was well, they started to fuck it up in Portal 2, basically, because it was they made this whole idea of the abandoned science facility, and you were the only person there, and you were fighting against the giant overarching AI enemy robot. And then in Portal 2, they started to fuck it up when they were being now we can have these 2 other robots who act as the co-op game, and they can just be regenerated infinitely, and they functionally just, they're not...
sort of like humans, right?
Yeah.
So why does... Well, I suppose the end of Portal 2 was that GLaDOS doesn't want anything to do with you anymore, right?
Well, except at the end of the co-op story, where the robots find a secret stash of extra humans that GLaDOS can continue to test on.
Spoiler alert, but
yeah, you never finished.
We never got there. Yeah,
but yeah, it was just well, that's just god damn it, you can't do that.
Maybe we should finish that.
Well, you'll probably have to start over at this point, really.
We did. No, yeah, maybe. I might have forgotten all the mechanics. Game trailers.
Shutting down?
They have shut down. It's been a month. But they're back.
Well, sort of.
Kinda. Yes, kinda. Pretty much the entire staff of game trailers have reformed to very slowly put together their own thing, which is called Easy Allies. And, which, I'm not sure is a particularly good name, but, I am very glad to see them back, and I will be checking out their podcast, which launched a day ago, I think. They've already done a Disney Infinity style stream, because Brandon Jones is obsessed with Disney Infinity.
Great.
But, yeah, I want to see what those guys do. now that they're going full on Patreon, and they're going to need quite a lot of money off Patreon, right? They're going to need quite a lot of followers to make this work to fund 8 guys.
Well, I don't know. How much do you think would really be necessary?
Well, what do you think is a decent salary for a game editorialist?
For 8 guys on a monthly scale.
Yeah.
I don't know. How much higher than basic pay rate do you want to go? Is the question.
I don't know about dollars. You probably need $30,000, maybe $25,000 to make it livable. I guess
probably.
And you times that by 8, you need $200,000 a year, which is what? Well, I suppose maybe that is doable. Yeah, $30,000 a month. That works the other way. It'd be 15, 20 grand a month.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely doable.
Yeah, maybe that's doable.
I mean, it's like the Dwarf Fortress guy makes 5,000 a month.
Yeah.
On average.
Maybe that's doable. But anyway, it's good to see those guys back. Even if they are trying to employ themselves, those guys deserve to do well. Especially if they go back to doing reviews. I want to see their reviews.
Well, yes. That would be... It's you can't
that's
really
what Daniel Bloodworth was only... that's what he did. He didn't really get involved necessarily in the actual, stupidity of game trailers, the crazy shows. He did good driving game reviews, and
it's just you can't necessarily say how good this is until you see what they actually do.
Yeah.
If they just try and basically continue exactly as they were, then they'll probably be fine.
I think that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. Although apparently they didn't get the rights to some of their shows, Defy Media are holding on to those IPs for some reason.
Okay.
Which seems a bit weird because a lot of them are named after the people that presented them. Michael Huber had a show called Huber Hype, and he can't do that. But the Final Bosman from Kyle Bosman, he can't do that anymore.
He did just make a dumb spin-off name instead of Final Bosman. Make it Mid Bosman,
Mini Bosman, Mini Bosman. Yeah, I think that's weird, right? Companies holding on to the names of the person doing it. That's strange. But yeah, I'm glad they're back. I'll check out their stuff. I might even join the Patreon. I don't know. I like those guys a lot. We'll see. See what their content's like first. I guess. Exactly. Prove yourselves. If you haven't seen the Allies Assemble trailer, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, so there's been some more Nintendo NX rumors, rumors flying around. Some what turned out to be faked screenshots of the NX controller based off that patent design.
Yeah,
freaking amazing Photoshop skills, though.
Yeah,
I looked at those so closely, and it looks so real. It's ridiculous. And not that the actual controller isn't believable.
I'm not convinced by it, yeah.
No, but the Photoshop job on making it look real is amazing.
Yeah. Good job, whoever actually faked those. You're an arsehole, but I can...
dust on the screen. And
yeah. You're an arse, but I can appreciate your skills as an arse.
Yeah. Highly skilled trolling there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Kudos to you. Kudos. Yeah, so that happened, but I guess the bigger sort of real-ish news were that the rumours came out of the production facilities of the Wii U that claimed that Nintendo is to halt production of the Wii U very shortly, which would kind of make sense if they're gearing up for a new console launch, right?
Yep.
Nintendo, however, come out and said, no, what are you talking about?
Of course they have. That's what they always do.
But their statement is a bit odd in that they didn't really outright deny any kind of length of time. They basically said it was going to be produced this quarter and throughout the future, effectively, is what they said. It's that kind of means nothing. It's all right, so what have we got? We've got another month or so left in development, guaranteed, is what you basically said.
Right. They're not confirming or denying anything, really.
No, basically. I mean, at this point, what do you reckon, Zelda is actually going to straddle the NX and Wii U?
I hope not.
That's what we kept saying.
That was really sucky with the Wii and the GameCube.
But yeah, sure, but that was because they were somewhat, shoehorning motion controls. The GameCube version was still fine.
Well, we don't know what the NX control scheme is going to be like. Whether they're going to have to shoehorn something from that into the game.
That is true.
It'll all be touchscreen controls for some reason.
I mean, I know I've been on record before saying I reckon we might see the NX this year, but I'm not so sure.
Probably not.
I'm rethinking it. I don't think the NX will happen this year. I think you might see
it.
We might hear about it, yeah. But it might be. They might say, "Look, it's coming. It's not coming out this year. It's coming out holiday 2017," and they might be upfront about that. I think is what we will see this year.
I hope they call it the Nintendo Revolution. That was a better name than freaking.
Yeah, go back to that. That'd be just fine. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, you need to come up with some bullshit name which has an X in it.
Well, even if it's
to keep within.
I don't mind them calling it the NX. Actually, I've kind of got okay. The NX is a way better name than the Wii, the Wii U, the 3DS, or the 2DS. Although I see what they did with 3DS. 3DS on its own was quite clever, but they got stupid when they started doing 2DS and new 3DS.
I always thought NX or Net, or I always thought Next was kind of an obvious name for an Xbox.
Sure.
Right, Xbox Next is way better than Xbox One.
Yeah, One is a bad name, especially if they're now going to be like console cycles. Like, what is the Xbox 1.1?
Yeah, clearly.
Obviously, people will call it the Next Box, but still, as a nickname. But I don't know.
That's fine. That's better than X-Bone.
Yeah, exactly. Which I definitely still call it the X-Bone.
I was about to say, I'm glad you do, because I feel like that name has gone somewhat out of popularity.
Right.
Yeah, calling it the X-Bone.
Well, people just call it Xbox now, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I hear too many people calling it an X1, which is
no, that's no good. The X1, isn't that? Well, the X1 has to be like a sci-fi thing, right?
Sure.
There has to be something called an X1.
Several.
Yeah.
It's like experimental one, isn't it? That's the basic. That was a real thing as well, I'm sure. Like in aeronautics, there's probably several planes that were called X1s.
Well, I could tell you which one. The Bell X1. It was the first plane to go faster than the speed of sound.
Oh yeah.
It seems like that wouldn't have been the first experimental plane, really.
The Bell.
It's got to have been several other planes before that were experimental.
Yeah, but that was the first one they named with the X series, I guess.
It has to start somewhere.
Yeah, and they started with that one. You'd think it would be the X3 or something that finally got past the speed of sound.
But they just did it on the first go.
Yeah, they got it.
Good job, guys. Good job.
It was the first one they called it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe they called it the X1 because it's like, yeah, we did it. This is the first one.
Yeah, they already knew.
Just write it down as the X1. Write it down. Yeah.
The NX was just like, you want it to be the Nintendo experience. I guess.
God damn it.
The N has got to stand for Nintendo, obviously.
If Nintendo start using the word experience like Microsoft to do, I might as well kill myself. I hate that so much. I'm with Carl Bosman on that one. Like the amount Microsoft says the word experience is just the most nauseating thing. Ugh.
But it's the new.
I guess if you never watch E3, that's not a problem for you. But
well, it's only sometimes a problem in E3 because they usually have like a different catchword every year, don't they? Whereas like, well, which word is this year's one that they're going to say over and over and over? Experience, innovation. I don't know what it is. I think there's been like a resurgence of like people quoting that old Nintendo Reggie thing of like play the game. Like just over the last couple of weeks, I've just seen numerous posts of people just going play the game. Oh, Reggie, we love you. What else we got? Two more bits of mini news. This one was kind of inevitable, I think, but Sony has closed Evolution Studios, who were the team behind Drive Club. Yep.
That was bound to happen, right?
Right.
They managed to get that DLC out the door and then were like, fuck it.
Yep. Like they somewhat made good on all of their promises eventually, and Sony were like, well, this was a disaster. Goodbye. And like, not obviously the closure of a studio, you have to be sad for the people involved, but in this case, it's possibly the least surprising closure we've seen for a while. Sorry, but Drive Club didn't exactly leave a sweet taste in people's mouths.
Apparently they're working on a PlayStation VR version.
Yeah, but obviously not that studio.
Yeah.
I mean, their prior work was met with some... I mean, they did MotorStorm before Drive Club, so, you know. And the first MotorStorm game you could claim was like, you know, actually, in terms of like proving what the PS3 was capable of, that was a pretty good tech demo. It's a shame that they didn't really progress past that point over the entire lifespan of the PS3. But, you know. Closures. They were great. And finally, Firefight. That mode we liked from Halo ODST.
Well, that specific version of that mode?
Well, who knows, actually. Well, not exactly, I suppose. Firefight is coming to Halo 5. Obviously not split screen, unfortunately.
I like Firefight. That was good, yeah.
It's coming to Halo 5, and it's coming as a new mode tacked onto the Warzone-style card mechanics. So you can use your Warzone gear in Firefight mode, is the idea.
Okay.
That seems logical, right? They still want to push their Warzone ecosystem, I guess.
Well, it seems more like they want this to be a way to convince people to actually use the cards. Because when you're playing a multiplayer game,
yeah, maybe.
It's like if you're in single player, you only have yourself to blame if your tank gets blown up.
Yeah.
So it makes you slightly more willing to take the risk to use the card.
That's a pretty good argument. Yeah, I think that makes it way more legit. I think, perhaps it doesn't feel so bad when you use it and it goes wrong. I don't know.
Exactly. You're not getting screwed by the other team just doing
being
something.
Good. Yeah, or random series of events. I guess it may be a little bit more predictable. But yeah, Firefight is cool. You know, it's just made that little bit more unfortunate that Halo 5 doesn't have any split screen.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Zach and I really quite liked Firefight in ODST and, to a lesser extent, the one in Reach.
Yeah, because ODST's one was clearly superior.
Yeah, ODST's was quality. They got it right the first time.
Yep, exactly.
And that's news!
That is the news.
That was the news. Dun, 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 dun.
And now it's time for what you've been playing. What you've been playing, Rob? What you've been playing?
Oh, you're going to start. This is a rare occasion. You're starting with me. I guess I'm not pressed for time.
Well, yeah, exactly. You didn't get to say everything last time, apparently.
Yeah. So the one I missed last week was that Gnome and I played through the first episode of. I've forgotten what the fuck it's called now. What's that game called?
Good job.
The one about the teenage girl called Max. Shitting hell. It's like episodic. Made by Don't Nod.
You can remember the developer?
Yeah. God, what's that game called?
I have no idea.
It's the worst. It was like everyone loved it last year. Like
yes, they sure did.
Do you know it, Zach? Are you just really not helping me out? Life is Strange. There we go. Life is Strange. Man. Boy, that was a terrible bit of radio. We played through the first episode of that. Because I was kindly given a copy of the first episode of that. And that game is an episodic adventure game. It sort of ticks all the same boxes, pretty much. So its key hook is that your protagonist, a teenage girl called Max, has developed odd abilities to rewind time and replay moments that have occurred to her in order to change the outcome. So that gives you a little bit of flexibility. So it follows in many ways that sort of tried and true Telltale formula, even though it's not a Telltale game. But you know what I'm talking about if you've played Walking Dead or any of their games in the last 5 years, probably. But once you make a decision, if you didn't like how that played out, or you didn't feel comfortable with what the result of that choice was, you can very easily just rewind time and do it again and be all like, oh, that's the choice I really want to make. And there are spots, actually, like when we played through and we sort of forgot about that mechanic. Like something would happen in the storyline and we just sort of assumed, oh, that's how that was supposed to play out. But no, we could have... this is the interesting thing. I guess we've got to teach ourselves is like you could have actually rewind. You can actually rewind time at many points in the story and be all like, oh, you know what? I this could play out in a different way if I do this. Let me try this. Because it does that classic Telltale thing. At the end of the episode, it did that thing where it's like, oh, these are the choices you made. And then you can sort of look at it and go, oh, I could have done that. I didn't even think of that. Or I didn't know that was possible. And it's like, oh, I could have rewound time and made that better. So it's got that's its little twist. I'm not 100% sure if it resonated with me because it kind of follows that, I don't know, somewhat cliched, you're a teenage girl in America and high school is terrible, man, kind of vibe that I'm not 100% sure I really fully experienced in the same way that every like high school movie seems to profess that it's awful. I don't know. So I'm not sure I had that. Also, I think episode 1 doesn't necessarily hit its stride. It's entirely set up, really. These are the characters you need to care about. These are some of the motivations. Here's how the game functions. Apparently things get good from episode 2. So I'm told. But, yeah, no, it's interesting. Well, I'm kind of basing whether or not we'll carry on with it entirely on whether no one wants to carry on, right?
Yeah.
How's she feeling about it?
I don't know. I think she came off it sort of like the same sort of like it doesn't, because it was just a setup episode kind of thing, like a bit like a pilot TV show. It's hard to get a feel for whether it's going to be good or not. And the game's business model is basically play the first episode and then buy into the rest. Primarily, like you can just buy the whole 5 episode thing outright, but. They do a lot of deals very regularly on the first episode where you can like play the first episode for like £2 or something. And then if you want, buy into the rest for like a tenner. Which isn't terrible money. Don't get me wrong. But it's one of those things where it's just like that first episode doesn't necessarily paint the entire, it's not quite dramatic enough. It's not quite
right, yeah.
The hook at the end of the episode isn't necessarily strong enough to be like, oh, how is the rest of this going to plan out? You know, everyone says episodes 2 and 3 are really good, so I'm intrigued, but I will base it entirely on whether no one wants to continue playing it with me. Because it seems to fit quite nicely as one of those style games. I'll let her make all the decisions where there's enough time. But then I can just, of course there's enough time, because I can just rewind time. Aha, perfect.
That's not how that works, though. Rewinding time doesn't give you more time, it just gives you the same time.
Yeah, but you can make the decision again. It's like if I press.
Yeah, but if you make the decision again, and you have to, should we play this game? No. Should we play this game? Yes. Well, it's the same amount of time in either game.
Well, if I press the wrong button, for instance, because sometimes I do, like because I'm just like the reflex, I'll just go yeah. Or like I'll be trying to skip text, and then and then the choice comes up, and I'm just like, oh no.
The classic problem.
Then I can just go back and do it again. Like.
Why is that always? Why do more people not solve that problem in games? Which is like, don't have your make a choice button be the same as the advance the text button, or make it so it like locks you out for. Like make it do something to prevent that. How many games?
The owl from Ocarina is the famous one, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, the BioWare wheel solves that a little bit. Yeah. Like it requires a stick.
You have to push it away. You have to actually push the stick in a direction. But yeah, and all the classic examples of that, like it happened a lot with the old Nintendo games, where it's just like whenever it had the classic, here's a bunch of tutorial text. Did you understand this? Yes, no, and the default option is always yes.
Yeah, it's like, wait, what did you say? So Life is Strange.
Have you ever actually edited a podcast to remove anything in 7 years?
Oh, there's been the odd occasion. You had a story where you mentioned someone's name, and then afterwards you were very reluctant about us repeating that name. So I put in the scout from TF2 going, bah!
Oh yeah, what was that about? Anyway, never mind. Who cares?
Yeah,
don't try to remember, or we'll just end up accidentally.
Yeah, we'll end up having to bah over the top.
Yeah.
Yes, that was Life is Strange. I continue to dabble in Fast Racing Neo and every time I play that game, I come away feeling fucking excellent. That game is awesome.
But somewhere in the back of your mind, you're still disappointed it's not F-Zero.
A little bit, yeah. Of course I am, because I would really love to see another F-Zero, and I really, really hope that Formula Fusion is good, right? You know, the Wipeout team making that game. But that isn't to say I'm dissatisfied with Fast Racing Neo. It is a great game. Freaking love it. It's just like, it pushes, I've said this many times before, it just pushes all of my buttons in just the right way, and it gets better as it gets faster. It's just like, oh, it's so good! And I've been doing more of the time trial stuff, like just trying to ace runs through the track in order to actually beat the developer times. And like for most, I'm still doing. I've only just finished Subsonic for the time trials because there's a couple of tracks where they basically nail it, and the developer time is perfect. Like you have to get it spot on in order to beat it. So I'll start doing Supersonic on that, and I've just started doing the Hypersonic Championships, which are crazy fast. But as a friend of mine who I had to demonstrate this to because he's a big F-Zero fan as well, pointed out. He wished that colliding with the wall in Hypersonic had more of an impact than it does. Like, because actually, yeah, as the game gets faster, hitting a wall becomes less of a problem because your car is way faster, and so you recover from it faster. So it doesn't necessarily feel like hitting the wall is a big deal. So yeah, I'll see how that pans out, and I'm still to try the hero mode that unlocks as you complete Hypersonic Championships, which basically turns your boost bar into an energy bar like F-Zero.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out as well. But yeah, every time I play it, I just come around thinking to myself, "This is so good!" And like even when I'm in the house on my own, I think I find myself saying that out loud.
Okay.
I love it. I played a tiny bit more of Hand of Fate, and I cannot finish that last level. I just cannot do it. Even if I'm well equipped, if I've had a really good run, the bullshit of facing the 3 rat bosses all at once, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I need to I don't even know what I need to do. It's just a bastard. Like those rat bosses, but just basically have the ability of turning into an unstoppable, unblockable attack at any moment. And it's almost impossible unless you've got every speed boost you can imagine on your character of seeing that thing appear and then your animation playing out to the point where the next action you do will dodge the attack. It's impossible. I don't understand. It's just impossible. Fuck that game. I will probably never finish it now. I've done that I've attempted this last level way too many times, and I've had enough of it. I've had enough. I'll probably end up playing it again.
Yeah, probably.
Because I haven't finished it. I need to beat games.
God damn it. That's why you've been fucking continuing to play Capsized as well.
I finished that.
Yeah, I know.
So Zach and I attempted to do a video for Steam indie game Capsized, which I'm in two minds about whether I should actually do that video or not, because it didn't capture very well. I might have to do a pretty extensive edit job on it to try and make something decent out of it. And that's basically do you remember Soldat?
Yes, I remember Soldat.
That's your reference, really?
Or the Awesome Noughts style control. It's a 2D platformer where you aim with the mouse, right? And that's basically it. There's not a lot of great deal to say about it. You go around this alien environment as a dude in a spacesuit, shooting some aliens, trying to complete the objective.
Yeah.
It's simple. It kind of works. It's okay. Nothing particularly fancy. It was next on our Steam A to Z list, and isn't that long, so we played through half the game on the video, and I played through the rest of the game. It's still just okay.
Yep.
I'm now done with that game.
Good.
Well, I might play a few more bot matches to get the easy achievement, and then I'm done. But the main thing I've been putting my time into... Actually, no, I should very briefly mention Super Mario Bros. 2 on the DS still is okay. That's a Mario game. It's pretty good.
Wait, hang on a minute.
New Super Mario Bros. 2, I should say.
Wait, Can we just roll back just a moment to the issue of playing you're playing games on Steam?
Yeah. What's my problem with games on Steam?
Your problem is that you have that annoying compulsion to continue playing them every time, and it's dumb.
I just want to get 50% achievements.
Yeah,
that's what I like. As long as I hit that mark, I'm done with that game.
So this is what I'm thinking, and it's like I was thinking about what this problem that you have and ways that we can potentially solve it.
It's just like an intervention.
Yeah, exactly. So I came up with 2 theories of how we could solve this. The first one is that I could just inconvenience you by every time after we finish recording, I'll just quickly delete the game.
But these games tend to be so small that is like the least inconvenient thing you can do.
Well, it's like the marginal inconvenience.
I suppose it stopped highlighting them in the list.
That as well.
So I still haven't finished my bridge constructor.
God damn it. And then my other idea...
I might be done with that game.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
My other idea was, like, if you're so obsessed with the 50% achievement margin...
I just want to get my average up. I mean, the trick is the average. I'm at 45% average achievement completion. Yes. And I want to push that up.
If you're so obsessed with that...
The numbers have to go up.
What we should probably do when we're recording is just use Steam sharing and play through a blank account.
Right,
then the achievements will go onto that account, and then you won't have to worry. It won't fuck up your achievement score on your main account.
That's true.
There'll never be any Steam pop-ups from friends joining because there won't be any friends list.
But I also like getting my money's worth out of the game.
God damn it.
I have in theory acquired this game, or someone has acquired it for me. I must make that money work.
It's for all these games that you would never probably ever play unless we were playing them to make a video.
Maybe not, no. But I have them.
Yes, they exist.
They exist. Yeah.
God damn it. What else have you been playing on
we should continue your challenge. Let's let that carry on. The only other thing I've really been playing is New Super Mario Bros. 2 continues to be just fine. It's a Mario game. No real problems with it. I'm 75% of the way through it. Didn't take very long.
No.
It's got 10 worlds and it's not a very big game.
Is this the one that has you get through the main game and then you actually find where the game is?
You know what? I don't know. If that's what happens,
I don't remember which one of these several most recent new Mario games was the one that everyone said that about. It's this is okay until you get to the end, and it's here's the actual Mario.
Yeah, you know what? If that's what happens, I'm all for it. There's nothing particularly wrong with this one, but yeah, as I say, I'm only 2.5% towards the 1 million coin challenge.
God damn it.
But I'm not going to do that because it's you just don't own coins fast enough. Well, yeah, there's no achievement. So. Nintendo doesn't have achievements, so it's not a problem on Nintendo. I finished them because I want to on Nintendo. There's no public record of my failure.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I care. It's so dumb. If that is the game, I wouldn't be against that. And the only other thing I've really been doing is just grinding out Pokemon Picross. Just waiting to get enough Picross to unlock Area 7. Yep. I've got 55 Picross, and I need 100.
Yeah.
And I can't beat level 7 of the challenge. I was 3 seconds slow this morning. 3! God damn it.
I
want to reach level 8 challenge. I'm done with level 7.
Not that it's that much different.
No, but I'm 3 seconds short.
You've still got to get the trophy or whatever for beating it in 1 minute 40.
I don't know
level 10.
Oh, level 10.
Level 10 in 1 minute 40.
Yeah.
Not even the 2 minutes. You have to do it even faster.
Well,
that's basically you just
wait.
It's
1 minute 50 at my level. Is weirdly, is the target, but.
It's basically
every now and then you just get one that's not immediately obvious, and it's there's a possibility here.
Except there isn't. That's the trouble.
There isn't. But
there never is.
You just can't quite see it that well.
Yeah, you just have to wait for it randomly to give you all the easy ones.
Yeah. I still quite like Picross, but it's a shame. But I suppose it's not a shame. It was free, right?
Yep, exactly.
It makes sense that I'm getting stuck with it. I'll keep grinding. I'll keep doing those challenges.
Well, it's, like we said, it's just the thing you do when you turn your 3DS on. Go in there for 2 minutes and then you're done.
You know what I found? If I'm go for a lunch break at work. I say go for a lunch break at work. I go for a lunch break.
You go downstairs.
Yeah. If I need to somehow wake myself up to do the afternoon shift or whatever, actually playing that challenge. It's actually quite a good way of turning my brain on again.
Okay.
It gets me active after just watching shitty YouTube videos for an hour.
So maybe the shitty YouTube videos are actually the problem, not.
Yeah, probably.
Rotting your brain with a bit of YouTube, are you?
Yeah, perhaps I need to play a bit of Capsized. Bridge constructor.
You should play. Like, well.
I should play like Mario Bros. I guess.
Yeah, you should play that, or one of the other games on 3DS that you now have access to because I gave them to you.
Yeah, like I have a copy of Professor Layton as well. I bought a copy of Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask.
But that has a lot of puzzles in, because that's the whole point of the game.
Yeah, well, it's got like 150 built in, but then they released another 365 as DLC, like free DLC. So in theory, there's like 515 puzzles in that game. That's quite a lot. So I'll start on that at some point. Maybe when the Picross grind gets a bit bad. Yeah, so I still like my 3DS. Yay for me. But the major thing I should talk about, I suppose, and I don't know if you ever got around to actually playing this, Dan. But I ended up playing through all of Alien Isolation.
Oh, I did play it. Yeah, totally. I didn't get to the end of it. Did you get? I thought it was a bit long. Did you? It is
a bit long. It's longer than you think, and it has got some sections which are obviously unnecessarily padded.
Did you play?
Yeah,
what
I finished it.
Did you play?
Normal mode.
Right.
Whatever's in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think I must have. Yeah.
I kind of have a. I wouldn't say a love-hate relationship, but a like-dislike relationship.
Yeah, me too.
In that I really love what they're going for.
Yeah, me too.
And I was going into it really expecting to hate it.
Mm. I thought you would. I thought you did even when we did that demo of it.
I don't think the survival mode. I don't think demoing it was really the right approach. Like when you're playing it for real, the game does a pretty good job of setting you up for what you need to be doing before you even encounter the alien.
Yeah.
It does a real good job of making you know what that game's about, basically.
Yeah.
So let's get the good out of the way and do what I normally do with reviews.
And shit on it, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it absolutely nails that aesthetic.
Yeah, it does. It's brilliant.
Damn, that is so accurate to what
it's such a great film as well, that first Alien film.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how they managed to make it so good.
It's so good. Like, just from the shitty CRT technology to the terrible text to the fact that everything looks like a VHS in some capacity. It's to the claustrophobic nightmare that is space in the Alien universe. It's fantastic. Like, it doesn't run massively well on the Xbone. It runs just fine, but but that lighting model is fantastic. Like how it feels to move about the environment is good. It's got the aesthetics of play of that game are just spot on. I don't think they could have done a better job. I really don't. It's so good.
Great. And the sound is really good too.
The sound, the sound is incredible. That game would be unplayable if that sound was any less good. You rely on it totally. There comes a point where you begin to recognize every noise that the alien makes and what that means. Right?
I don't necessarily think that's necessarily a good thing, though, exactly. Because it's just like, it's kind of...
It's a little bit...
It's giving you information that it's not necessarily intending to give you.
I think it's... I don't know how I could play that game without that information. That information is what made that game work for me, rather than being a frustrating fucking nightmare. Like, when you begin to recognize that is the sound of the alien coming out of the vents, compared to that is the sound of the alien going back into the vents, which sound incredibly similar at first, but then you realize, there's a tonality to the noise the alien makes at each end of that action that make you go, oh right, no, that just happened. That means it's safe to come out now because he's gone into the vents. I can move around a bit before he jumps back down in front of my face and kills me. Which has happened plenty of times during this playthrough.
Yeah.
But the sound design is fantastic. Like, yeah, it does the classic thing where space isn't silent. Like, it's just muffled. It's pretty quiet, but it's mostly muffled. And just the quality of the surround sound as well, because obviously I'm playing with a full surround sound rig, and hearing the thump of the alien behind you, like when you didn't realize it was there, that is both the best and the most terrifying feeling. That game is tense as fuck. There's no other way of describing it.
It's really tense, yeah.
Like the first time I played that game, I played it for like a 2 or 3 hour session straight. The first time I came away going, man, I was stressed out.
Yeah, you're like shaking and stuff.
But it was really good. And but eventually you get into the rhythm of it. You sort of learn to accept that that's what the game is. And it becomes okay. It becomes somewhat entertaining. Like, so all of that stuff aside, it's flawed because kind of by design in some respects. Let's start with sticking with the aesthetic theme. The animation in places is shonky as hell. Like, just the way NPCs in particular.
Yeah.
They have no lip movement. Like, there are sections where you're just talking to someone and their lips aren't moving or anything. You're just talking to a face, like a dead-eyed guy just staring you down through a window. And it's just like, right. Like, having just gone through, like, a super awesome scene where you've evaded the alien perfectly, like, you've like, run through fire to just get out of a certain situation, and you've come out the other side barely alive, and you've medicated yourself, and then there's some dude sat at the other side of a window just going, hello, good to see you're alive, let's do this other thing. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And there are places where the storytelling is just bad, like straight up, because of the contrast between you've just done this real awesome sequence and you've stealthed it perfectly and you've done real good, and there's a guy just there. It's like, how did you get here?
And not get murderized.
Yeah, why aren't you dead yet?
Yeah.
It's like, spoiler alert, everyone dies. It's like,
of course they do.
There's like nobody you meet in that game is safe at any point. But it is still like confusing, where it's just like, why are you here? The alien's like right on the other side of this door, and you're just sitting there in a chair, casually looking out the window. What is going on? Which actually kind of leads to the second big problem of the game in general. Any encounter involving humans, like aggressive humans, is just awful.
Yeah.
Like, they are really, but they are the worst part of the game by far. Definitely. Partly because guns are, like, evil. They kill you real fast. The humans have the best vision of anyone in the game, it seems. Like, even besting the alien, they'll just see you, like the tiniest little shred of you, and they'll immediately turn on you, and for no reason at all most of the time. They're just like, hey, who are you? Bang. And you're dead. You're done. As soon as any of that stuff. And I was playing a no-kill run. I wanted to get through it without killing any humans, because there's like a 50-point achievement for doing it. So I was like, let's give that a go. That seems doable. I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have just murdered everyone. I probably had a lot more fun, but I really wanted to try and stealth it properly. It was just... Are you checking whether Dan's still there?
No, I was checking the sound wave to see whether the Steve sounds come through the speaker as well.
Oh, could you hear Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I couldn't.
Oh, okay, that's probably not.
Should be all right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the human encounters weren't good. They were no fun. They could. There's a scene towards, like, near the start of the game where you're in a big sort of, like, I'd say like a tourist lobby maybe. And they could be on the balcony, the other corner of the room, like 50 meters away, and you could be trying to stealth your way around a dark corner, and they just go, hey, there's someone over there, and start shooting you with perfect accuracy. And you're like, seriously? I can't see you that far away, and I'm the player, and I'm supposed to be good at this seeing malarkey. That's the one advantage most players have in a stealth game, is my own eyes.
Well, except not. That's exactly the problem with all stealth games ever, pretty much.
To an extent.
That the AI can always see you where you can see them.
Yeah. So I don't dig the human interaction in that game at all. And to a lesser extent, the synthetic stuff can be quite frustrating as well. Like we were facing off against the working Joes, but less so. They're a little bit more predictable. They're a little bit more confusing. After a while, you get to the point where like getting into combat with them isn't so much of a problem, provided the alien's not about. Until you get to what is possibly the dumbest thing the game pulls, is that in the final, say, 20% of the game, you start encountering synthetics that wear a flimsy... Alright, like when you go to like theme parks or whatever, and they sell those terrible plastic like coats.
Oh, yeah.
What are those called? Like poncho type things. Like, are they ponchos?
Yeah, usually. Rain poncho type thing.
Yeah. So you come across synthetics that are wearing those, and that for some reason makes them hardy and immune to EMP. Okay. Which is like your one super effective weapon against them. And like, yeah, if you see anyone wearing a poncho, it's like, no, I'm gonna have to shotgun them in the face if I want to eliminate them. Which is the least stealthy way to do that. It's like suddenly your stun baton and specially built EMPs become completely useless for the rest of the game. Yeah, that sucked real badly. Like, you know, I'm like throwing EMPs at these guys, going, "Oh, that first one was probably a glitch, right?" Through the second one, it's like, "No, that can't have been a glitch. That hit him in the face." Yeah, that kind of sucked.
And is it infeasible to like stealth past them at that point by the time you got to the last?
There are a couple of sections where stealthing them is very difficult because their path is basically down the critical route you need to walk.
Right.
And you can't just melee them in the back like you could a human because they're strong. They'll turn around and strangle you.
Right. Yeah.
So you can probably distract them in some cases, but and I think synthetics are susceptible to flashbangs, but normally you need to get into a room and use a terminal, which takes time. Yeah. And those things don't last long enough for you to pull that off.
Right, and they just come up behind you.
Yeah.
So you have to kill them.
I didn't hit the issue that a lot of people complained about, where actually I never had the problem where I saved in the middle of a bad situation. I think I got lucky in that case. I never got the alien never killed me while I was saving. I never got spotted during a save.
Right.
So none of that stuff happened. I did all right with that. And the game is a little bit buggy. There are spots where I had a very bad graphical glitch that wouldn't go away until I restarted the game, where the screen basically started doing epileptic bright red bands down the screen. Like, I think it was a failed fire effect, like a glare effect that had just gone wrong. But basically this entire part of the level was on fire. So I got through that thinking, oh, that glitch will go away, right, when I enter the next area. Yeah, it didn't. There's no fire here. I'm still getting epileptic red bands everywhere. So I had to restart the game when I got there. Got to a save point. And that game also doesn't like coming out of Xbox Suspend. There's always a glitch when it comes out of Suspend. Like, most of the time, you'll just find yourself unable to unpause the game. So if you come out of Suspend and like you press start, it just goes, nope, I'm still in pause mode. So you try exit to the main menu and reload the game, and it will just reload in the paused state, and you can't unpause the game, so you have to fully reboot the game. Like, so it doesn't like that either. But all in all, I think I like it. Like, I think it came out more on the good side than it did the bad.
You're liking these stealth games lately. What with Metal?
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? Maybe these are just good stealth games. Maybe I've just discovered good stealth games, and finally this is like changing me a little bit. It works. I think it's a really good experience. I wish they hadn't padded some sections out. Like, there's a section towards the end of the game where it was just super obvious, right? And just totally unnecessary. You'd worked your way through this like little section where it had like basically a long death corridor.
Yeah.
The alien is in play, and there's this really long, straight, no-cover section that you have to get through. So you basically have to wait for the alien to plod around for like 5 minutes, and then it will go into the vents, and then you have to move immediately. Like, don't run. Yeah. Just running is bad.
Right.
At least you can do the stand-up walk at least, but you have to get down that corridor, otherwise you're going to be killed. And And I did have it at one point where I made it down that corridor, and the alien basically just appeared in front of me, jumped out of the vent, and is like, "Nope, I'm dead."
Right. Yeah.
Can't do anything about that. So I did it again, and it was fine. But then, of course, the game pulls the trick where it's like, the door you need to get through in the room at the end of the corridor causes all the power to go out when you try to open it. So you have to go back through that corridor to activate a generator where you started, and then go back through the corridor again just to go through all the doors. And that just felt completely unnecessary.
Right.
And
making you do
the game
right.
does that. Yeah, and the game does that numerous occasions.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And after a while, it just becomes, no, I know that you've kind of tried to narratively explain this by making Sebastopol falling apart nightmare of a space station, but no, sorry, that just feels like padding.
Yeah, they didn't need to pad it either. They could have just made it shorter.
No, even as the like. There are too many sections where it's like, go back and find Ricardo. Go back to this area you've been in before. But now the story says go here. There was a little too much of that. And there is a section that happens halfway through the game. Like, I guess spoiler alert for like a 2-year-old game. But there is a section halfway through the game that means the alien is out of action for quite a long time. And then at that point, you think, well, what are they going to do for the remaining, as what turns out to be another half of the game, where you just don't see the alien for ages. And the alien is clearly the best part of the game.
Yeah, clearly. It's called Alien.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, some of that starts to drag a bit. So it has pacing issues and blah, 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 blah. But, hats off to Creative Assembly for putting that thing together, and also hats off for doing something that must be way outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, and different just in general, really. I mean, not just for a dev that isn't used to doing first-person games, but like it's just different for the genre, really, or different for a stealth game, even. Like it's different to most stealth games are like third person or I don't know, something like that. Or like Mark of the Ninja, like where you can see your character. So it's quite unusual to have a more first person.
Oh, and there was the odd section where I literally had no idea what to do and had to look it up. Yeah. But
that's
they didn't always tell it. It didn't. Yeah, it didn't always. It didn't often. There were a couple of sections where it just didn't telegraph where you had to go at all, and it was quite a big area. There's dangerous stuff about that would vary each time it loaded, which was doubly frustrating. Like, I know why they do that, but it just meant like, I can't predict what I'm going to hit here. And it would a long old section with no save points anywhere in it. And that was a pain in the ass. That was a real pain. That was probably like, you get locked out of the Marshal's Bureau, basically, and if you're on your way back to it, there's synthetics about, there's fire about, there's humans with guns about, their positions vary, and I had no idea where to go. Some shutters open, some shutters don't, and typically the bit I was missing was one of those shutters that I needed to go in. That section was frustrating as hell. But there aren't too many of those. There aren't too many occasions where there's a few of them, but there aren't too many of those that make you go, fuck this game. Alien Isolation actually gets a thumbs up from me. I've got the limited edition version, or I was given it, I should say. So I'll probably end up playing the Nostromo DLC.
I didn't know
DLC.
There was DLC for that.
Yeah, you actually get to play as Ellen Ripley rather than Amanda Ripley, I think.
Oh, cool.
And Sigourney Weaver actually voices it. So,
nice.
I'm somewhat ashamed that that's DLC, really. Maybe that should have been in the game, but,
maybe they couldn't, at the time, or they didn't know.
Yeah. So I might actually play that, because I'm positive on it. Who'd have thought? I didn't predict it. Question is next, do I play Thief? I have a copy of Thief.
Oh, don't play Thief. Come on.
Yeah.
You play, I don't know. I don't know. Did you play Deus Ex? You did, right? The Human Revolution.
I haven't, no. I haven't played Black and Gold.
You should play that over Thief, I would say.
I don't think I actually have a copy of Deus Ex.
That's probably super cheap by now.
It can be on occasion, yeah. I've seen it for a few quid.
I mean, that's got a bit of stealthing in it, but it's also got a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
I wouldn't mind giving it a go, especially as we're on the cusp of its sequel.
Yeah, and it still looks kind of nice, considering how old it is now. It's like 4 years old or something, isn't it? Anyway.
Is it?
It was 2011 or something, isn't it?
Is it really? Wow.
Let me find out.
That seems to have flown by.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah, it's amazing, yeah. So, there you go. Right.
I didn't ask for this.
I didn't ask for this. Shall I let you know what I've been playing?
Oh, yeah. What have you been playing?
I don't know. I played a few things, like, small amounts. Like, I played a bit of Super Meat Boy.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And I played a bit of Hotline Miami.
Okay.
That was good. And a bit of
going
Burnout
a bit on your
Paradise.
retro. Oh, right. So talk to us about Burnout Paradise.
Well,
I really want to know what you think about this.
Is it really as like I wanted to play a Burnout game, and that was the only one I had available, pretty much, because that is the only one available, isn't it? Like on Steam or whatever.
I think it's the only one you can get on PC.
Yeah, it's the only one. And I thought, I was like, I could get one of those. I already had it for some reason. I think it was like £2.50 at one point or something. Anyway,
it's been around for a while, so
yeah. And I was, you could play like, I don't know, Need for Speed Most Wanted or whatever they made that was okay. But I was like, no, I'll play actual Burnout. But Paradise was that one where, like, the tracks, it was an open world, and I just remember being really frustrated trying to make turns and trying to.
Oh, so you've played it before? This wasn't like your first.
Not my first ever go at it. Like, I think I played the demo or something and wasn't impressed considering I thought Burnout 3 was like one of the best games on the Xbox.
I think you're right. Yeah, Burnout 3 and Burnout Revenge are definitely the zenith of that series.
Yeah,
so good.
I mean, for me, Takedown was awesome, and like 4 pushed it a bit far by having the traffic checking. For me, but
yeah.
But 3 was pretty much perfect. So I was like, but I want to play some Burnout, so I was like, break it out. And I haven't had too much trouble with the whole. I mean, it's sort of clever the way that no matter where you start a race, and you can start a race or an event at every intersection, they always end at one of 8 places or something. Like one of the, there's only so many.
Oh yeah, they only ever. There's only so many endpoints. Yeah, like all around the edge of the map, isn't it as well?
Yeah, exactly. So that's quite clever, I think, because by the time you learn the map, which obviously I haven't, you're probably not going to have so much trouble trying to figure out where to turn.
After a while, it still becomes a bit finicky. But every now and then, you'll see what you think is going to be a shortcut, and it turns out to basically be a route to like a secret area that there's nothing to do with the racer, and you're like, well, fuck. Yeah,
exactly, because you're boned then because you can't catch up or whatever. But
yeah,
and like there doesn't seem to be that much. There doesn't seem to be a lot of traffic, at least not yet, to oncoming into. But I guess that was the case of earlier Burnout games as well. It wasn't exactly.
I played it quite a bit before getting hideously bored of it, and I don't think it ever really. It didn't feel like it ever changed.
Right, maybe that's it. Maybe I haven't got bored of it yet. But
I think that was my biggest problem with Burnout Paradise. I think it's just that it never felt like it changed. It never felt like it evolved. Right, the original Burnouts, things got faster. Something about this one just. And it got a lot more challenging, and you unlock more stuff. You got more tracks.
And the weird thing about
this just didn't feel like it had that.
It did that thing where it got faster, but it also had these kind of exhibition. I can't remember what they were called, but there were these time
the preview
trials.
laps.
Yeah, the preview laps, and they were like a massive hike in difficulty, or speed or something. So you'd get.
That's because they gave you cars you hadn't. That were like top tier for some reason. Like here's a top tier car. Like, just to show what we have in store for you later.
And you were like, I remember trying to play those over and over just to get the
they were hard,
time limit or whatever, because they were really hard. And then that was quite nice to have that punctuating the rest of the game. And the crash mode was kind of cool in 3, I always thought.
Because it made it into a puzzle more than a...
Yeah.
Let's just crash as much stuff as we can. It's like, oh, no, I actually have to pay attention to where that ×3 is.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure I hit that.
So yeah, I mean, I'm getting a bit of a Burnout fix out of it, but I'm not totally down on it. I'm not bored of it yet, let's say, but we'll see how it goes.
Paradise wore thin very fast for me, where the others didn't.
Maybe that's it. anyway, that was it. So the main thing I've played.
Well, I'm glad we sort of agree on that. I guess
I think
I don't understand why Paradise is seen as the best in the city. Why a lot of people think Paradise is. I just don't get it.
I think 3 is clearly the best for me. I know 4 is an improvement on 3, but 3 stands out to me. So anyway, because 2, you guys played 2 and 1, didn't you? Mostly 2.
Yeah, I think I ended up with Burnout on the GameCube first, and then Zach got into Burnout 2.
Yeah,
I played the first one as well.
Well, yeah, we as dumb as the first one was, with its weird, you've crashed too much. Now have the dramatic orchestral score.
Yeah.
It's a really strange game. The first two are quite strange, and then they sort of landed it oh no, let's go. They did the sort of I want to say they took the concept and just said, let's do this to the extreme.
Yeah,
except they did it in a way that actually worked.
Well, it's because at the time they didn't have the idea that Codemasters had, where it was to the extreme, but it wasn't to the real extreme. They didn't try to make it Monster Energy and Travis Pastrana. Here's a funny radio DJ.
Yeah, the DJ. Okay, we went back and I think Zach and I. You saw me do some of this.
Yeah.
We actually got Burnout 3 running in a PlayStation 2 emulator.
Oh, you did?
Sort of. It takes a bit of... It's a bit finicky. There's some odd tricks you need to go to get the skybox to work, for instance. It's not perfect. But the problem with trying to get that to work was the fact that, those tutorials are unskippable and long.
Yes.
And annoying. And... Oh, wait, there's the option to turn off DJ Atomica. Thank God for that.
Yep.
Also, EA Tracks.
Well, I mean, that's fine.
It's fine.
It wasn't
the soundtrack's fine.
It wasn't really a thing. It was that they were trying to make a thing that wasn't a thing. Because it's the soundtrack to the game. And theoretically, in certain versions of this, you can change it.
It turned up everywhere for 2 years, didn't it? Right?
Yes.
EA Tracks was in all of the sports games.
It was their dumb brand for a thing that didn't matter.
It was in at least 2 of the NHL games. Yeah.
It was just like Game Face.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's a dumb brand for a thing that doesn't matter.
They just wanted Game Tracks is probably the least sensible one. EA Tracks is probably the least sensible one, right? Because it's you've just put music in a game.
Yep, exactly.
You really don't... I guess the trademark was for making the name pop up as the song is being played? Was that the entire trademark?
I don't think so. I don't think it was necessarily a real trademark. I think it was just their name.
Tracks TM.
Yes. They just wanted an overarching thing.
It makes no sense.
Maybe they had bigger plans. Maybe it was going to be a literally overarching thing where it's multi-game, or maybe it would pull a soundtrack that you could upload somewhere or something.
Or maybe it was going to be like a record label. You can buy the soundtrack to Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
On EA Tracks.
You can get up in here.
You're going to make me act a fool on this golf course.
Yep.
That music was probably actually some of the most misplaced music ever, right?
But it worked.
It sort of worked. Yeah. I'm all for some DMX. That's fine. Or was it Ja Rule? No, it's Ja Rule, isn't it?
I think it was DMX.
Is it DMX? Okay, I forget. X gonna give it to you. But perhaps the silver chair and the I like that music. Don't get me wrong. And Ra, it was the sort of 90s metal perhaps wasn't the best fit.
The whole point, the whole reason why it was really dumb was, of course, it was a golf game, so the music only played during the menus anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
Unless you specifically went and turned it on, because I think you could.
You could turn
play
it on
during gameplay.
Yeah, I think you could turn it on. I think I did do that for a while until you realised, the soundtrack's not actually that big.
No, you're going to hear it a lot because golf is a slow game.
Yeah. EA Tracks. What was your favourite EA Tracks game, Dan?
EA Tracks game? I don't know. From Burnout had it, right? So
yes, it definitely did. From Burnout 3 upwards, it had it.
Yeah, I don't know in terms of the soundtrack. I can't really remember the soundtrack too.
Did they make a big deal of it in... Is it in Paradise?
Did they ever make a big deal of it?
It has tracks?
I don't think it's tracks, but it definitely has some good licensed music in there. I think there's some LCD sound system, I think, from what I was playing. I think.
I think I don't think the soundtrack in Paradise is like the licensed part of the soundtrack in Paradise is actually very big compared to previous entries.
Right.
Because they basically just put all of the Burnout 2 soundtrack in it.
Oh, I see. Well, which is
like the game music. Like that was an original soundtrack, right? It wasn't licensed in Burnout 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've got Guns N' Roses in there.
Sure. They
As
kind of
like
had
the main thing. Yeah. Yeah. They got some decent stuff.
I recently downloaded I got hold of the Guns N' Roses anthology, right? I'd listened to the Bombcast too much, and their love for Guns N' Roses, and I was like, maybe I should investigate to see if they're any good or not. Turns out, I don't know if it's not very good.
Yeah,
it's like they have some classics, but Guns N' Roses. I don't know what. No, sorry, it's too ballady. Too much ballad.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not down with the ballad.
So yeah,
you need to be more metal. You've got a voice like that. You need to be more metal.
Burnout Paradise. And yesterday I played some of Firewatch.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm about halfway through that. So I'm going to try and finish that tonight. It's good.
Generally enjoying. Yeah.
Well, I like it so far. I mean, I want to see because obviously there's intrigue in the plot. And how it pans out is going to make a big difference to how you view it at the end, I think. Obviously. Yeah, like how it explains all the mysteries and shit. But in terms of actually playing it, I'm really enjoying it because it looks really nice in a nice stylized way. I mean, it's a bit, it's kind of, so it's along the lines of a sort of a Gone Home or something like that, or a what's the stupid one on the island. Where you wander around in first person and you don't really do much in terms of interacting with the world, really. But
you're thinking of Dear Esther or something like that.
Yeah,
the
something
one on
like
the
that.
island, or
Dear Esther or whatever. So, but in this one, at least, unlike those ones unlike games where you're picking up audio logs and you're kind of listening, you're kind of piecing together a story that happened in the past. In this one, the story is happening at the moment because you're speaking on the radio to a real person.
Yeah,
so I like that because a lot of games, even bigger games like BioShock or whatever, they do a lot of telling a story by because of stuff that happened in the past, and you're just listening to audio logs or whatever.
Pretty much every game ever does that. Alien does that primarily.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's fine, but it gets a bit tedious. Whereas this has conversations that are triggered by events. So you walk up to landmarks or whatever, and then it signals to you that you can radio your friend about them, right? So that it's kind of like an audio log, except it's a real-time conversation that's happening right now, which is better, if you see what I mean. Do you know? So you're kind of triggering some audio about the thing that you're looking at.
You feel more engaged with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's happening right now. Yeah, and in terms of moving around the world, it's quite nice. You just do some kind of climbing, mantling, and rappelling a little bit. It's not too difficult at all. It's pretty straightforward to move around the world, but it does feel like hiking or whatever, and it looks good. It makes you feel like you're moving through a forest and stuff, and there's some really nice. It's not all the same. It's not a huge map, but it doesn't need to be for the story. But it feels like you're in a wilderness. It pulls that off quite nicely. And the areas are quite different enough. It's not like the whole map feels the same. It does feel quite different in different places, which is really nice. And I mean, one thing is that your home is in a tower, obviously looking over the forest to look for fires, but the engine is really built for moving around at ground level and looking really lush and nice. So when you get up in the tower, it's kind of fake to the whole distant views. I mean, it looks fine, but it's kind of, you can tell it's a bit fake. It looks cool, but it's a lot of parallax, tree lines. You can tell the actual trees don't go very far. It's not like something like Far Cry 3 or something where you look out and it does look huge or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And all modelled or whatever.
Like how every building you see in Assassin's Creed is actually where those buildings are.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's nothing like that because, of course, you can't go over there because it's not that big. So, but it looks nice. And, it sets up the story quite nicely. You make some choices at the start that determines the kind of backstory just by clicking on different options, and that's quite nicely done. And the music's good. Some nice guitar music that's very fitting so far. And I'm intrigued by like the sort of central mystery of what the heck is going on. So I shall find out.
Yes, I don't know what the ending is or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've heard it's one of those divisive endings. People are either quite up or quite down on it. So
that's fine by me. Yeah.
Yeah. No idea what that will be.
I mean, it could turn.
Or do I want to know? I kind of want to play this at some point. It sounds like one of those games I could quite easily play with Gnome at some point if Life is Strange isn't a thing.
Well, it's not really.
The time has fired, and we haven't even had Zach open his mouth.
Yeah, the time has fired. It's not. I don't know. I think it is a kind of a solitary experience, though, playing it. I wouldn't necessarily. It's kind of designed to make you feel on your own or whatever, with this one person, to talk to. So I don't know about. Yeah, if it's not like an adventure game per se. Although it does have dialogue options and the choices you make affect things in the future, etc. So, but yeah, and it looks really cool, and we'll just have to see if the story has the kind of, because it has a lot of emotional weight in the story in terms of like big life events and like your partner's sick and stuff like that. So we'll have to see if it earns that kind of heavy emotional stuff. But it seems to be doing a good job so far, so I'm pretty pleased so far. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's it for me for the time being.
But what is Fireworks?
Oh, by the way, I ordered an iPad, my first ever tablet of all history, because they made a new iPad. So I was like, I'll get that. Well, actually, I'd been planning to get one for a while, and then I saw that there would probably be a new one. So I waited.
Well, of course there is, because there'll be a new thing every year out of an Apple conference.
Well, they're not yearly. That's the thing. It's been longer than normal since an iPad launched. Like it's been a year and a half or something since the iPad Air 2. So
what was their phone this year? Like the SE or something? It's got a dumb name.
Yeah, they launched a new budget phone basically, which is
Oh, well that's okay, because everyone thought they should have done the 6C at the time, right? Like the last update.
Well, this is the guts of a 6 in a 5 case. Kind of. Weird. I think that's right. Or 6, or maybe even a 6S. No, it can't be as good as their flagship phone. No, that doesn't make sense. No. I think it's the guts of a 6, something like that. Anyway, it's but it's a bit weird because the design is identical to a 5 pretty much. They're like, oh, we're bringing back a classic design.
Okay.
Yeah, fine, cool. I mean, it was just a market thing where there's a gap for like a smaller size. No, is it a 5 or a 4? I can't remember.
I don't know. The 5C seemed like a good, because that was based on the 5C was based on an iPhone 5, right?
That's right.
But they just put the plastic slightly more bulbous case on it.
Yeah.
It seems weird to go all the way back to a 4, because that would be like a different size, different screen size.
I think that's
bringing back the old screen size. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
I can't remember if it's the smaller 4 or if it's the 5 size screen. But anyway, the 6 has a bigger screen than the 5, so it's still going back to a smaller size. That's the idea. Anyway, never mind. I don't really care.
Just to make it real tricky for the developers. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I ask is it's interesting because, like, people like Gnome aren't exactly like totally interested in being super cutting edge because I don't know, the cost is a bit high.
Oh, totally, yeah.
To be cutting edge in Apple land, right?
Oh, it's really high.
I mean, so a 5C style device appeals.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was kind of tempted by the 5C when it came out, but I was in the wrong place in the cycle or whatever. My mum's got one, and I think it's really nice with the plastic back and stuff.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. They're pretty cool things.
Yeah, I think they're cool. Yeah, so I'm getting iPad Pro or some shit.
You're getting the Pro.
Well, that's it.
Or the massive one.
No, because that's what they've done is they've brought out a new normal 9.7-inch iPad, but they've called that one the Pro 2. So it's just like the
what?
It's just like the MacBook Pro. There's two sizes of it. Basically, it has all of the specs, if not better, than the big one, but it's normal size.
But it's small.
Yeah. Well, it's not mini, but it's normal size.
Yeah. Man, branding and marketing. I fucking hate it. Like,
it's pretty dumb. So it works with the stupid move. It works with the pencil and thing, their stylus thing, and it works with.
That's probably why they did it.
And it's got like the thing, so you can connect to like a keyboard cover to it, which is a rip off of the the Microsoft
the type cut. Yeah.
They basically ripped off all of Microsoft's Surface features.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, they did that when they announced the Pro. Everyone was all the Apple fanboys would go, "This is amazing!" And it's like Surface has been doing this from the start.
Exactly. But now you can get all that shit on a normal size iPad. So,
welcome to the party 3 years late, Apple.
Yeah.
Good
exactly.
job.
So there we go. So maybe I'll get frickin' what's the stupid card game? The Blizzard card game. Maybe I'll get that.
Wow, Hearthstone.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to that.
Right.
It didn't really grab me after all. I did the tutorial stuff and was all like, yeah, all right, fine.
Yeah.
I didn't really go back.
Yeah, I'll see. Anyway, it's time for Zachary Burgess to tell us what he's been playing.
Woo. It's convenient because I haven't been playing that much of interest, I guess.
How's Stardew?
I very nearly finished year 2 of Stardew. It was weird because once I got into year 2, it just seemed to go really quickly. I don't know why it seemed to be going faster. And it was also weird because I felt like in year 2 I was spending more time doing stuff. Whereas in year 1, because the thing is, by the time you get into year 2 and you've started unlocking things, I mean, there's a couple of ways you unlock for fast travel and that kind of stuff, which just makes your daily tasks and like if you want to go to the blacksmith and at the start of the game, you have to walk all the way across fucking town because it's on the exact opposite side of the town from where your farm is.
Right.
So if you want to go to the blacksmith, it's like you better make sure you have 2 hours before it closes. Whereas once you unlock, at a certain point, you unlock a fast travel capability where you can basically walk outside your farm, hit a fast travel point, and then the other end of the fast travel point is immediately next to the blacksmith. So you basically cut out this whole walking to get to the blacksmith. So there are things like that save you a lot of time, but I still feel like I'm under incredible time pressure on every day, even though and it's like I've automated watering the majority of my crops using sprinklers. I just have a small patch that I just water just to use some energy, basically, because it's just you might as well. But even then, my farm management seems to take even longer. I mean, I guess I'm doing more stuff simultaneously, technically, and I've got animals and stuff that need to be looked at every morning and all that stuff. But I don't know. But so it seems like I'm doing more stuff in less time, and the whole year is going past quicker. And I'm like, why is this? This just got really weird, and the timing of everything got strange. But also,
is that just perceptive?
Probably. Yeah. But also, it's just also arguably everything. More or less, most of the stuff that I'm doing is becoming inconsequential as well. It's theoretically, I could pretty much just stop farming, because I don't need money any longer, really. Apart from to get the achievement for earning $1 million, I guess. At some point.
$1 million.
But yeah, it's I could theoretically more or less completely stop farming crops and just rely on the small amount of money you get off animals.
Within a year, you managed to get your farm so amazingly successful that you don't need to farm crops. It's pretty good.
Probably. And then, so I'm nearly at the end of year 2. And apparently, I said year 3 was the point where something happens. And I've sort of heard about... basically, supposedly, the main thing that happens with your granddad's ghost at the start of year 3, when he mysteriously reappears at the start of year 3, apparently that's just it's sort of the end of the game, but not really. I mean, you can continue playing it forever, but apparently this Granddad's Ghost thing is like the assessment of how well you've been doing. So it's that's
the score.
Yeah, it's almost like giving you a score at the end of these 2 years. So I've been trying to complete as much stuff. Like, I
guess that's the incentive to not just stop the farming, maybe?
Yeah, it's just like, I still, because there's an achievement for exporting every type of crop and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so obviously I want to make sure I'm growing everything possible to make sure I can. Unfortunately, I think I'm not actually going to. I was really close, but I'm not actually going to be able to complete every crop by the end of year 2 because I missed, like, there was a type of two types of tree that only fruit in the spring, and so that basically means you have to plant the tree in the autumn of the previous year because you can't even grow them during winter.
Yeah.
And I hadn't planned that far ahead. So I didn't get those 2, but I'm going to get pretty much everything else, I think. I'm missing rabbit's feet because my fucking rabbits won't produce. Apparently they just shed feet somehow.
Then you have to then go just cull them with your spade.
Yeah, you would think that, like, maybe if they didn't want to have the explicit murdering, they'd make it so, like, you sell them and a rabbit's foot just appears.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But no, somehow these rabbits just shed extra feet.
Right.
They already shed wool. Like, they learn like sheep, they just produce wool somehow.
Okay. Oh, well, like, that horrible... Was that horrible thing that they were just tearing bunny fur or something? Was it that a form of cashmere or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of those weird wools. So, yeah.
Weird
and then I kind of
wools.
stopped playing that eventually because I got distracted by other things.
You think it's a 5-star game?
Maybe.
It seems pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a 5-star for the price. It's one of those things where it's quite a small game, but it wasn't very expensive either.
It nails what it was trying to do.
Yeah.
so well that perhaps it does deserve that score.
Yeah, exactly.
And for your classic pound per hour ratio, I was thinking.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It
must be really good for that. Yeah.
So,
depends how much you enjoyed the repetition of those like Harvest Moon style games, because that didn't fly with me. Yes, I've only played the Wii version, like, was it Musical Harvest?
Sure.
Musical Note Time, or whatever it was called. And that didn't, the repetition of that game was what drove me away from it. But
well, that's why I think it's weird that just like, now that I've automated so much stuff, I still don't feel like I'm doing much of like new, except I sort of am. It's just a weird perception where you seem to be spending a lot of time doing the same things, but you don't really notice. It's like every morning I do the same thing.
The days are long enough that perhaps the gap of doing something else and then going back to the chores isn't so bad.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, I stopped playing it because I was distracted by other things. Mainly, well, after the experiment with Kriya, we basically determined that we weren't going to continue to play that because it was still too much in early access. The person playing it with me agreed with my assessment, where it was like, this is too messed up.
Yeah.
Still needs to get a bit further before we can play it again. So we didn't continue playing that, but instead we went back into Factorio in multiplayer.
Was that always available on Steam Early Access? Because I only seem to have seen that like popping up on my featured list recently.
It literally only just came out on Steam.
Okay.
After the last podcast, I guess.
So you were ahead of the curve on Factorio.
Yeah, we knew about it well before that. But yeah, so I mean that's why it's been popular, because it came out on Steam and suddenly a bunch of people knew about it and were like, "Holy shit, we have to play this!" And apparently it fucked up their servers quite a bit.
Sure.
Well, they did a classic mistake where on their blog on their website they'd use GIF animations to show things they were working on, and so it was like GIF animations of stuff happening in factories or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But then when they went onto Steam, they linked their blog onto the news page on Steam. And that, because the news page populates on literally everyone who owns the game every time they go to start the game, because the news page populate onto the game page.
Yeah.
it was pulling the GIFs through Steam of everyone who was playing the game every time they launched it.
But those pages only show like a blurb. They don't download that
Apparently
stuff.
not. Apparently like background loads it or something.
Oh, weird.
So it was basically completely fucked their server because it was like this 4.5 meg GIF that was being downloaded 200,000 times.
Surely that would only screw up their web server, not any game server.
Well, sure, because the game's peer-to-peer anyway. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so it fucked up their website for quite a while.
That's quite funny.
So maybe don't use GIFs. They were like, we're going to move to WebMs because then that's a player and it doesn't start loading until you click the button.
Right, sure.
So yeah, we played some of that. I couldn't really say it to the person I was playing it with, but I have a real problem playing that in multiplayer. Maybe it's...
Is it just because the other person's design doesn't fit your exacting standards?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Like Zach Code does not approve.
It does. They don't plan ahead almost at all. And it's just like...
Pretty much every story I've heard about Factoria, apart from yours, is that. Like, just people not planning ahead and then being all like, oh, I've got to do this now.
Well, I mean...
This is going to become a horrible mess.
That's fine, because that's how you're meant to learn how to do it.
Mm.
You're meant to, like, progress through the game and be like, oh shit, now I have to do oils, and now I have to integrate an oil pipeline into my factory and deal with that whole process. And it's meant to be a thing.
So you leave space on the next run.
Yeah, exactly. That's but you know, that's the point that I'm at, where I'm like, obviously I know that I'm going to be doing oil at some point in the future, so I'm like, oh, okay, where's the nice nearest oil patch? How close is that to my other resources? Where do I want to put my factory in between them and that kind of stuff?
Okay, yeah.
And it's not like the person I'm playing with doesn't know that. They play Factorio at least as long as I have, but they just don't do it. I mean, admittedly, it's not that.
You've been publicly shamed. Mysterious person who we don't know the identity of.
But it's just like, it's not like it's very interesting to do that, I guess. Because, you know, you'll sit there for some period of time. When I'm in single player, it's just like, I'll even have it paused. I'll just be like sitting there being like, okay, what do I want to do? What would be the best way to arrange things? How am I going to, like, I need to leave space to expand so I can up production on this specific component in the future because I know I'm going to need more of it in the future, but not now. So I have to specifically leave gaps where there's extra long conveyor belts for no apparent reason. And it's just like the planning phase is a thing that I do, and it's not a thing that they do. So in the end, actually what happened in my player was...
You're factorist. Factorist?
Yes. What actually happened in this multiplayer game, which was, it was so unsubtle, I wonder if they actually realised that this is the case. But I basically went away to build a mining outpost by myself for ages. I was like, oh, there's this resource patch over here, I'll just go... It was like, even before we actually unlocked the research for trains, so we couldn't even ship the resource back home. But I was like, I'll go do this now, so when we have trains, we can just run a train line up here and it'll all be good.
Okay.
So I went and set up a little self-contained mining base that like also produced ammo for the gun turrets, and it was like automated. And I was like, yep, I'll do that for a while, don't you worry. You go and do whatever you're doing in the main base in that horrible mess.
Meanwhile, I'll build these beautiful installations that you'll never have to see.
Yep, exactly. Got that. It's always
Factorio, OGD's worst nightmare.
Yep. It's like I always wanted to, like, it's not actually in the game yet, although apparently there's ways you can do it. I almost wanted to be like, we should play this in PvP. You build your base, I'll build my base.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, theoretically, you could just, like, at the start, just leave and, like, set up 2 individual bases, but the trouble is, like, research is shared, so it doesn't really... There's no inherent bonus to having 2 bases.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
So, yeah, that's Factorio. It's still... Not much has changed. The trouble is, it's getting to the point of, like, Dwarf Fortress where I'm just looking forward to the next patch.
Right, yeah.
Whereas, like, there's going to be some interesting things in the next patch.
You just want to see what the new stuff handles like and then get in, get out.
Yeah. There's actually supposedly going to be quite a lot more in the next patch that's going to be new and interesting. Actual gameplay changing stuff.
More on that to come.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
What else? Well, I guess, you know, I'm still playing Rocket League more than Rob.
Well, I played this
by the way, I played Rocket League. Lol.
Yay! Do you have a copy?
No, not yet. But I played it on Ho's PS4, and it was so fun for like in a quarter of an hour that I was thinking, I should probably get this and play this on.
Now you know what the bloody hell we've been talking about.
Well, it's not as if I didn't before.
I know, but it's the game. Like once you, I don't know. I played it today with like for three good friends of mine who were quite heavy gamers, but none of them had ever played Rocket League before. And the idea was like they were a bit skeptical about how football with cars could be good.
No,
right?
I could see how it would work. Obviously,
but they were just like, well, let's give it a go. You've talked this up, and I have the problem where every time I talk something up to those guys, they immediately go, "Nah, this isn't good." Is what you said, and they're like, so I made that mistake again here. But they came away going, we should not be eating. Instead, we should be playing more Rocket League. Okay. It's like that game is so good.
Yeah. It looks great. Obviously, I'm never going to catch up to you guys, but
I don't care. Like I would quite happily put you on our team.
Well, yeah. I mean,
no offense to Kippers at all intended, but I would quite happily just play, just like the excuse to play.
Well, so we could play more of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Kippers has advanced that far up the standings in a time. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying he hasn't played it that much. He's still pro.
I suppose not compared to us, but that's like, and even I'm like half your time. It's like, yeah.
and then somehow I'm still only one rank higher than you because of the exponential scaling.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, it does get ridiculous.
So yeah, I played more. I'm not really. I don't deserve the rank that I have now, I would say.
So tell me a couple. So like I just I didn't actually play it online. I just had a go,
played
or whatever.
So
there's basically no dribbling or like possession.
There is, but it's really difficult
because the problem is you have to do it relatively low speeds to do it well. And of course, if you're doing it at low speed, someone's just going to bunt you out of the way.
Right. So it's not really about that, is it? It's more about
if you can pull it off,
individual
then
shots.
More power to you. But like the chances of that happening are quite low.
Yeah. So if it's running away from you, you want to like go around behind it and then line up for a punt.
If you can overtake it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you can't overtake it, just knock it off to the side.
Knock it to the side. Yeah.
Okay, is that the trick?
I mean, sometimes it's even beneficial to just like bunt it as hard as you can against your own back wall so it comes back out.
Sometimes, yeah. It's risky.
Although, not many people expect it. Is the trick with that one?
But if they are expecting it, you're fine.
Yeah, then you're in trouble. Yeah.
So, and then if you're around the back wall of the other end, the end you're trying to score at, what's the general technique there? Do you try and get it to? Do you try and cross it and then have someone else?
It varies. I mean, our old techniques don't seem to work so great anymore, right? So the old classic technique for us was or for me at least, was to bunt it against the corner wall so it starts to ramp over the top and then sort of land in front of the goal mouth.
Yeah, you can't roll along the wall if you're playing against good people.
No, because there's only a single plane on which the ball tends to go at that point, and if you're only good at getting your height right, then that's just going to get stopped. What is more effective is what has actually worked for us quite well is when Kippers and I have tried to set up I'll hit it against the back wall, so the ball is actually coming out, but towards the center of the goal mouth, and then someone charges in and just finishes it off from there.
Yeah, right. You need to bounce. I mean, sometimes you can still get that effect by hitting it against the corner and having it come diagonally.
Yeah, if you hit it right into the corner at a good angle and it sort of bounce out diagonally, that works.
And sometimes you still can get away with doing it along the wall if you do an extra hit while it's like if you follow it up the wall and sort of almost wall dribble it, that can throw people off quite severely. Yeah. That's much more difficult. A lot
of my old tactics really don't work at our level. Like I used to do them. You used to be able to get away quite easily with if you're sort of semi-midfield, in your half of the pitch, but you do a perfect 45-degree clearance, so it hits the midpoint.
Yeah.
Dead on.
There's a specific point on the wall where it just directs it directly into
straight towards the goal. But yeah, everyone's aware of that at our level, so it's like, no, that's no good. Can't do that anymore.
Oh, right, okay. Man, that's going to...
But at your level, that'll work just fine.
Yeah, probably not going to reach your level. Anyway.
I would be more than happy to get you on the team, though. It would be great. It would be great.
Or we could play 4-player even. Whatever. Yeah. Just have everyone in.
We don't have to play ranked. Just get into a chaos match. Those are great, too.
So yeah, I played some more, and it's one thing I did look at which was sort of interesting was I looked in there'd been a patch where they'd implemented an early version of their spectator cam, and I went into a replay to look at that, and that's actually pretty good. Like the way it moves the camera around to follow the ball and the action and stuff. And it even does like things that I think are specifically there for esports. Like after it scores a goal, when the car's reset, the camera just focuses on the last 3 people who hit the ball and like zooms in on their car for a second.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It's like that's clearly designed for esports, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, so let's talk about this guy.
So yeah, that's kind of a nice addition to the replays.
It'd be great if it put like a stats page up. Like here's this guy's career stats.
Should just use the overlays to do some fancy stuff. But I played some more. I don't know why I find this. I don't know why I see this a lot, but when I've been playing by myself, I keep coming to. I've been trying not to play in goal as much, which is when I'm playing with random people, it's just like fuck it, I guess.
Yeah,
there's not as much opportunity to organise that technique of having a guy always be in the back and know that he's going to be there, so you can leave it and stuff.
Yeah, I get frustrated with people who find goalkeeping as a problematic tactic.
Yeah,
no, it's a legitimate strategy. It stops you from just being open to random
long-range shots.
Yeah.
But so I've been trying not to be in goal as much. But the thing that I keep noticing that annoys me, but probably isn't as. It probably doesn't happen unusually a large amount. It's just that I notice it. But it's like the number of times where I've gone forward to hit a ball and stuff, and the enemy team has defended it, and then the 2 other people on my team are basically in goal, and somehow they fail to stop it.
Oh,
it's not even just one person. It's it's the entire rest of my team. They're there. What are you idiots doing?
So, the last few times I've been playing solo, I've been trying to do, so some people have tried to explain goalkeeping is bad through using the phrase rotations, and I've been all like, what are you fucking talking about?
Well, I mean, the rotation is like, I mean, we do that. It's like when one of us comes in, the other one goes out, usually.
Yeah.
That's technically the rotation.
So I took that quite literally and played a few games being like, you know what, I'm just going to sort of do laps.
Well, okay.
I'm going to go on an attacking run. If that fails, I'm just going to loop back.
That's also sort of what I do.
And then go back out. And then if your team is in sync and you sort of end up getting that right, then you don't really end up with a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You sort of, because everyone is sweeping by defence periodically.
Yeah.
But it feels like you've got a constant offence at the same time.
Well, the trouble...
I think that works, but again, I think you can get caught out.
I think the trouble with that technique is that there'll be a lot of times where people are just driving backwards when they could be still attacking.
Yeah. I mean, I think me and you are quite susceptible to that problem. Kippers isn't, because Kippers is a ball chaser, which is useful. But yeah, I think you and I sometimes will back off thinking, no, this isn't going to work. And we'll go quite a long way back, and it's like, oh no, dang, I really should have been in on that one.
Well, it's because I mainly do it just because I'm still thinking goalkeeper, where I'm always thinking of the long shots.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking that this could go horribly wrong, and it could just sandwich off Kippers and come flying back here.
And of course, the problem is when we're playing as a duo with a third player, it's impossible to trust the third player.
Yeah, you can never trust the third player.
Yeah.
That's when the me and you rotation through goal tends to happen more.
Yeah.
Just let the other person do whatever. Well, at least one of us will always be back.
Yeah. So yeah, Rocket League is a weird. It's the fact that we're having this conversation is the merit of the game, right?
Yeah,
it's like something as simple as this bloody game has strategies on how you should organize your team's positioning at all times.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
That's how football works, isn't there? Any of these?
I know,
things.
but
Pretty simple.
Also, the other thing that I wanted to complain about in Rocket League is it's really dumb, but I think even in unranked casual play, they should put in a penalty for quitting, because god damn it.
Yes, absolutely they should. Yeah.
I had 3 games last night, so I had the first 2 games we won by forfeit because everyone quit. So it was I had 2 games in a row where the entire enemy team quit and we just won by forfeit after 2 goals. And so fuck that. And then in the third game, it was basically it started as a 3-on-1 because people hadn't joined. So it was No, wait, it started as a 3-on-2, but it was on Wasteland. So one of the guys on the other team immediately quit, because apparently he hates Wasteland.
Wasteland, right, yeah.
Right. So it turned into a 3-on-1. And then for the entire rest of that 5-minute game, that same guy kept rejoining the server and quitting over and over, because he just kept getting matched into the same game. And it completely fucked the other guy on that team, because he was just by himself for the entire time with 2 bots who kept exploding.
Yeah.
And it was like, seriously? He literally rejoined the same game at least 10 times in a row. Wow. It's like, what are you doing? Why?
They need to solve that. It is a unless you're in, that is the main reason to play ranked, right?
Yeah,
it's because there is absolutely no good side to doing that. Do you lose points if you quit ranked early?
I think you do. There is some kind of penalty. I think it's just like a timer or whatever.
Oh, okay, but that's sort of something at least.
Yeah,
like a rage quit cooldown.
Yeah. But it's just like
But even with the rejoin option goes a long way to alleviate that as a penalty as well.
Was when that got solved.
Yeah.
But it's just like just in casual. I think they. I was trying to think of what penalty they could even implement that wouldn't be too bad because it's casual, but would still be a penalty. I was just like,
the rage quit cooldown is fine in most cases.
What they should do is just like
it should just count as a loss, right? Like because
too.
If they're quitting just because they want to avoid the stats, then it should just count as a loss. If you then don't
rejoin,
if you
then you have to implement rejoin onto casual as well, which is
I'm not sure that matters so much.
Maybe,
or maybe you just remove the fact that it stat tracks casual.
Or separate it or something. I don't know. I was thinking what they should do for the penalty for casual is just make it so if you quit, you lose 500 XP off your rank. Because the casual rank doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And 500 XP is less than what you'd get if you just stayed in a game and lost, because you get 750 for just finishing a game.
Yeah.
So you should lose 500 if you quit casual.
Yeah.
It's a completely inconsequential penalty, but it's a psychological penalty, and that will make people not quit as much.
It's not a terrible idea. It's not a terrible idea.
God damn it.
You got anything else to say? Because I want to play some Rocket League.
Yeah, I thought you would.
God damn it.
I've got one other thing to say, I guess, just briefly, is that for some reason on my 3DS I've stopped playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and started playing Fire Emblem again. The old Fire Emblem, the first one that came out on the 3DS, not any of the 3 new ones. And, that game's still fine. I've been playing for it again, relearning all the dumb bullshit that game has. Like, weird, all the dumb tricks that you have to use to exploit the AI and stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, that game's still pretty good. I hear the new ones are weird. Like, the 3 different versions.
Well, all 3 of them.
Well, it's like, you have the one that's too easy and is kind of dull because it doesn't do enough with, strategy.
Is that Birthright? What they say is the starter.
The starter one. Then you've got the one that's too hard, where it's for only the crazy people who actually like Fire Emblem, I guess.
Yeah, it's it's one where the rules are turned up to 10. Yeah. Like where it's like, this is Fire Emblem at its most Fire Emblem-y.
It's like playing Lunatic Mode and Awakening, only more so.
Right.
And then you've got the one in the middle, which is apparently not actually good enough in either end. It's just it's meant to be the average, but it doesn't actually do either well enough.
Right, okay.
And also, it's a weird, semi-DLC that links into both the stories.
Well, they say you should play that one last.
Yeah.
Hence why it's the most DLC, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not that interested in getting another one of those, because I'm just playing the old one again, and it's good enough. Also, Intelligent Systems should make Advance Wars. Fuck!
Yes, but good God, they should. I mean, yes, maybe the last one they made wasn't... I mean, I liked its styling, but, it wasn't as good as... Advance Wars DS, Dual Strike or whatever it was.
Yeah, I preferred the dumb anime styling to the gritty realism styling, but the gameplay was still perfectly good.
Gameplay was... I liked the music of the last one.
I guess.
The music was good.
The more gritty music.
Yeah, a bit more metal.
Yes.
Less grit.
less weird banjos.
Yeah. Yeah, I would freaking love another Advance Wars.
I don't know I don't know why they stopped doing them.
No.
It seemed like it was a perfectly adequate, repeatable franchise.
It must have still done... That last one must have still done well. It was a light game. Yeah.
But then they got into all this push mode and Fire Emblem.
Oh, they work on push mode, do they?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that might be why.
Well, sure, but I mean, I wouldn't have considered Pushmo a game you'd have to work very hard on after you've made the system. It's like making levels is like a puzzle designer's job type thing.
Also, I don't think Pool Blocks is as popular here as Pool Blocks as Pushmo is as Pushmo in other territories.
Sure. Yeah. But it's just like, it doesn't seem like a game that you have to do that much work on. Whereas I don't know why I feel like it, but I mean, technically in both games, like in Advance Wars and that game, you'd still be designing puzzles. It's just it's a different kind of puzzle.
Yeah. Is it Intelligent Systems that make Paper Mario as well?
Sort of, sometimes.
Okay. Bimmy kind of hopes that new one is going to be good. Like Magic Color Hammer Smash, whatever it's called.
Yes, whatever it's called. Hopefully better than Paper Jam Bros anyway.
It isn't supposed to be bad.
Yeah, but it's supposedly not that great.
Yeah. I gotta admit, talking about Nintendo hype.
Yeah.
The Star Fox hype has hit me.
Oh.
The more I see of that game, the more I'm looking at it going, this is exactly what I fucking wanted for like 15 years.
I'm slightly laughing at my friend at work who was like pretty hyped about Batman versus Superman this entire time.
Nope.
I was like, it's going to be awesome. And I was like, from the first trailer, I was like, this looks bad. This looks pretty bad. And now
I'm still going to go see it. I still want to see how bad it is.
Well, the thing about that film, it feels like you want to see the weird fight.
I want to see Ben Affleck's Christian Bale impression.
Sure.
I'm Batman.
You want to see the weird fighting and like
he's the best
how Batman solves the Superman problem. But you just know that all the plot that's going to be surrounding that is going to be dumb bullshit.
Yep.
And the final fight is going to devolve into ridiculous action blur effects.
Yeah.
Superman's going to punch you through about 5 buildings, again opening the whole question that this movie is based on.
Yes, exactly.
Apparently that's it. Like the one good thing about the trailer was like, oh, okay, he's realized how ludicrous and reductive the end of the last Superman thing was, where they destroyed an entire city and it didn't seem to matter. By making it matter, by having Bruce Wayne be upset that his freaking building got destroyed and everyone got killed. But then apparently it doesn't actually like address that. In fact, it makes it worse by doing it again, probably.
Yeah, by having a bigger fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe not bigger.
You've got Wonder Woman involved this time.
But she doesn't. She's not that powerful.
She's got a whip.
She's relatively powerful, not that powerful.
She's got actual superpowers, doesn't she? Unlike Batman.
Yeah.
I don't know if she...
Yeah, she does.
Well, she's not real superpowers.
She's got an invisible plane. No, wait.
Well, everyone has an invisible plane.
Yeah, okay. I guess Batman's probably got an invisible plane if he can afford it.
If he wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Enough.
They're not even going to use Wonder Woman in, like, the proper way, are they? Her whip is meant to be, like, the whip of truth or some shit, isn't it? It's like you get bound up by the whip and then truth happens. I don't really know. I don't really know that much about Wonder Woman. But they're not going to use that.
She's from some weird civilization, isn't she? Like, she's
like this weird Amazonian Atlantis crossover weird thing.
Anyway,
that's why she's not that super powerful. She's only relatively super powerful.
Is she like Aquaman or whatever?
I don't think she's related to Aquaman. Okay. No, not directly. Anyway,
like I do kind of like those trailers are way too epic though, right? And that is where all of my misfaith came from. Like apart from Man of Steel not being a brilliant film. Like like when you see like they're playing that same card again, like with the ridiculous nothing about this trailer has whimsy. Like
the X-Men's doing the same thing. Have you noticed they see that one? The X-Men with the next X-Men film.
Well, yeah, it's because it's like it's all dramatic and everyone's dying and shit.
It's rubbish.
It's like they haven't got that formula like that Marvel always gets right. There's a little bit of
comedy.
Although, admittedly, the Civil War trailers are also
they're
not
getting
bad.
A bit gritty.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's got Spider-Man doing a stupid joke at the end by being like really
because that's what
like,
Spider-Man does.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like that DC are getting wrong right now. There is something overly try hard.
But the thing is that the Nolan Batman films were really dark but it worked because it suited
that worked because maybe it's just Superman, right? Maybe Superman you can't do anything good with.
Well, yeah, it's the classic Superman problem.
Although Batman vs Superman is like one of the most like the best tropes of DC you could argue.
For some reason,
I don't
think it's ever been done well.
No,
even in comics.
I mean, it was all right in the Dark Knight Returns because it was some insane future Batman who was mental and old and weird. Like that whole comic.
The trouble with Superman is like in the end, it always comes down to kryptonite.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
he's too powerful.
Exactly.
That's literally the only weakness. So in the end, it's always kryptonite.
Oh no, but this is why I freaking love. Actually, one of the more interesting storylines to do Super. It's actually the plot of that Injustice game, right?
Yeah,
where they all become
super
because Lois Lane died. Superman became a bad guy.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Although that's an awesome idea, but they still had to. Basically the solution in that game was inverse kryptonite, where everyone else becomes more powerful.
Yeah, everyone else becomes Superman.
Different thing. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. Injustice
is actually like its plot is like typically like Mortal Kombat style bonkers.
Yeah,
but it's really good. The little I've seen of it, it's strangely intoxicating.
So anyway, end this podcast.
The end. Thanks.
Let's go play some Rocket League.
Catch you next time, and
catch you.
There's probably some video content on its way. I don't know.
I think the next one is the Bimble stuff we did.
So check that out, and tune in next time for another Saladcast.
Oh, also don't forget to go check out my new OC remix.
Oh yes, please
that
check
got posted this week.
The Planet Wisp remix.
Yay! Yeah. Shameless plug.
Yeah, check it
Link
out.
on Happy Salad, obviously, and it's a liked video on the YouTube page.
Assuming you did it with the right account this time.
Yeah, I did this time. I created a playlist and everything. I did it properly this time.
Okay.
Yeah, a big thanks to the OC judges of awesomeness for putting that through. Actually, was a little bit more touch and go this time than the last one, but
you made it.
They appreciated the tweaks I made to it after the first round of feedback. So,
Coolio.
Yay for them.
Sweet. And catch you next time for the Saladcast. That would not be. Like, I don't know. I think.